raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the Pacific Northwest, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Gio. I will be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I'm joined, of course, by my lovely wife and twin flame, Mrs. Gio.
Good evening, everyone.
And we have an incredible show for you today. Coming up in about 5 minutes, we have our dear friend George Kavassilas back on the broadcast. I've been looking forward to this for months on end. As I've said before, George is always a step ahead, 10 steps ahead of everybody. So I want to talk tonight about the God Matrix. I want to talk about the chakra deception. I want to talk about all the things that George has been talking about for years and years and years, but it took the rest of us a little bit of extra time to catch up on. So,
I don't think he holds that against us, though.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, when you listen to Beyond the Veil, we're, light years ahead of most. For instance, we've been talking about NPCs for, 2 years now, 3 years, and the idea that they're non-player characters or some kind of consciousness walking around within the Matrix itself that doesn't have that divine spark within them. I didn't realize at the time that Blavatsky talked about the same, those who don't have the divine spark and those who have the divine spark. Toth talks about the exact same thing in the Emerald Tablets. The children of men and children of light. Even the Bible makes a distinction between men and children of men. And I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. But now the NPC meme has just kind of taken mainstream into the mainstream consciousness, taken the mainstream consciousness by storm. It's not used in the context that I would like it to be used in. It's used more of a political left-right attack, but still just the fact that these ideas are coming into the collective consciousness more and more, I think is indicative that we are indeed living in the apocalypse, which is Greek for the great revealing.
Yes, the veils are dropping, the masks have fallen away, and the truth is becoming so evident that it's freaking some people out, and then other people are, it's like what Terrence McKenna used to say about the difference between a shaman and schizophrenic is that a shaman swims in the ocean of consciousness while a schizophrenic is drowning in it. And so a lot of people are drowning in all of this truth while others are swimming along and treading water in it. So it's interesting to see the difference. But we are going to get into so much tonight, and we're going to make up for lost time because I haven't been on the show for the last couple of weeks, and I'm so glad to be back, you guys.
Are you?
I am.
All right, good. You look like you're glad to be back.
Yeah.
So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back with our dear friend George Kavassilas right here on Beyond the Veil. The ayahuasca vine is the non-psychoactive. Many people ask, Chris, how can I support Beyond the Veil? Well, first and foremost, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. The more engagements a video gets, the more likely it is for YouTube's AI to recommend it to others with similar interests. Same goes with Facebook too. You can also find us on iHeartRadio.com. Just search for Beyond the Veil. We have a dedicated streaming channel where we play the best of BTV 24 hours a day. You can also send us questions, comments, and guest suggestions to info@beyondtheveilmedia.com. Finally, the most support you can give is by sending positive and loving energy to all of us here at Beyond the Veil and all of the Beyond the Veil viewers. Together, we are building a field of energy to rival the artificial intelligence control of this matrix. Take a moment to meditate on yourself, others around you, and tap into this amazing energy field. Now, let's get back to the show. Man, my audio is all jacked up tonight.
My dear traveler, the purpose of raw consciousness is never to destroy. It is always to create. Build bridges. Create happiness. And bring forth new life. We must live in the hope that mankind will draw together. And that we better understand each other. The more that we awaken, the easier this will become. Now rise, follow your conductors, and fear no danger as you step beyond the veil.
All right, I want to take a moment to say hello to everybody that has joined us in the chat. Too many people to name by name, but each and every one of you, thank you for joining us. It's been a while since we've been on air, and so I missed you guys and gals. I really did. Like, it's just not the same without you. It's not the same without being able to turn the stream on and connect with each and every one of you here at Beyond the Veil.
Yes, absolutely. I've missed you guys so much, and I feel my energy rising as we were getting ready to go on the show. I just got so excited because it feels like it's been forever, even if it's just been like a couple weeks. It feels like forever. And I wanted to also bring up, before we bring George on, I wanted to mention the wildfires in California. It looks like literally hell on earth down there.
I saw a video of somebody driving through, and it looks like a movie set. It really does. And the only thing they were like praying. They were like, "Oh dear God, please take care of us and this and that." And I totally get it. If I was in that video, though, I told Cherie this, I would just be like cruising by, full raw consciousness. Be like, "Yep, this is what we do. We've seen much worse than this in the IRL.
Through the fire.
We've faced down demons. We've done all of this. This fire's nothing here."
Yeah.
But my heart definitely goes out to each and every person that is being affected by these fires.
Well, and I wanted to mention, because Molly Moonsparkle, she's in the middle of it.
Oh, is she really?
Her and David are in the middle of it as well.
Oh.
And so she was, basically calling out for everybody to put their positive energy to, get these wildfires to stop. And I said, you know what? If we learned anything in Egypt during the first 2 weeks that we were in Egypt, it's that she is in the water. The goddess is in the water. And so we need to focus on that goddess energy of purifying, cool stream of water flooding in and taking care of those fires, because that is the answer to that.
Well, if you haven't been following along, ladies and gentlemen, we live streamed all of this on Facebook, but you can go to resettingthematrix.com where we have the film. But when we were in Egypt, we did ayahuasca in 3 different temples, the Great Pyramid, in the Temple of Hatshepsut, and in the Temple of Isis as well. Filmed it all, so it's all on video. And when we did, there was a 3-day historic flood that happened in Cairo the day after. The day after the Temple of Hatshepsut ceremony, actually the same day, because it didn't happen until we got back to the hotel that night, a windstorm that was knocking over boats and stuff like that. So we can bring the waters. We have seen the waters come down before in amazing, amazing ways. In Abydos, too. We also did it in Abydos on live stream, on Facebook Live, with each and every one of you. It's only because of the energy field that we were creating there. But anyways, we have our dear friend, George Kavassilas, who's been holding for us, and I'm really excited about having him on. Do you have a quick bio?
I do. George Kavassilas is an author, mentor, and public speaker. He's had a lifetime of strange and wonderful experiences beyond the ordinary, encountering both benevolent and malevolent interdimensional and extraterrestrial beings. As a consequence, he went through a process of reconciling the knowledge and wisdom gained from these experiences and came to realize a natural response to share what he has learned with our global community. As a result, George now embodies a limitless passion in answering life's primordial questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? And what are we doing here? All that George shares stems from direct experience. Some find his work challenging, yet for others, it is incredibly liberating. And I believe his website right now is stargateofthecosmos.org, or is he somewhere else? I guess we'll have to ask him. Hey, George, how are you?
Oh, sensational. How about yourself?
Wonderful. We're doing great.
Good. Give us your websites really quick, because we don't have those in front of us.
Yeah, no problem. It's weareinfinite.love.
Weareinfinite.love. Excellent.
I love that.
I love that. Yep.
Yeah.
How did you get the .love website?
Yeah, it was about 3 years ago, and I was just sitting doing my work, and my intuition just emerged from out of me, and my greater being was, you've got to do it. And so I just went straight to GoDaddy, no hesitation whatsoever. Went straight in there and logged in I'm infinite.love and we're infinite.love. So
awesome.
That's how it happened.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it was a battle, like marketers and everybody says you shouldn't do it. It's bad for business, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, that's the ecosystem. I got to have it.
That's true. That's true. Maybe we need to get TFR.love.
That would be awesome.
Or BTV.love.
BTV.love.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Or IALife.love.
.life. And there's .life as well.
Oh, they have .life.
They have .life. Oh.
Ooh, okay, excellent. So,
awesome.
George, tell us, what have you been up to? It's been, I don't know, about 3 years since we had, 2 years since we had you on. Last time we had you on, we were just starting out the video. So the video stream, it didn't look as clean as it does now. As you can tell, the presentation's much different, but a lot of evolution has taken place. Yes.
Yeah, very, very impressive. I'm absolutely loving what you've done with your work because, as you know, I do all my own production from start to finish. So, yeah, I really appreciate people who are really putting a big effort into bringing not only quality, deep, life-changing information to people's lives, but also doing it with a level of professionalism that makes it, you see, for me, I realise it's about carrying the frequencies of the harmonics in our voice, the essence of our being, and by putting that extra effort into the quality production like you do, we're actually conveying more substance in our message that we have to share with everybody.
I love the way you said that. And you're absolutely right. It's all about frequency. I mean, even the things we observe are based on frequency. We think of frequency as something we hear, but everything all around us is a frequency because we are indeed inside of a matrix.
It's what we feel too. Everything we feel, it has a frequency attached to it. Everything we see has a frequency attached to it. I mean, yeah, because we're living in an artificial simulation. So everything's code, and the frequency is just that code that's kind of simplified. So yeah, definitely.
Well, let me ask you, George, it's been a couple of years, and last time we spoke, we talked about the God Matrix. We talked about the chakra deception, things like that. I'm sure you have a ton of new information, but if it's okay, I'd like to hit a little bit upon the God Matrix, because I didn't quite understand it when we spoke, but then I saw it for myself in the ayahuasca realm. One thing that you said that really stuck out to me, and it took me a while to really wrap my head around, is I was asking you about how to get out of the Matrix, and you said, and I said, well, don't we have to go up in dimensions? Don't we have to do this? And you said, no, look, it's very simple. We pop out of the Matrix. We don't go up or down. We don't do anything like that. You said, I'm just looking for a way out of this whole construct completely. And I've seen it. I've seen the whole. I've seen how we can get out of here. It's not an up and down progression. But please take us away on that.
Yeah, because the up and down progression I've discovered is part of what I call the ascension deception. So, and people will find that horrifying because, and I did in the beginning, I found it very challenging when I began to have these realizations to that degree, to that depth, to that level of expansion of awareness. As before, I was pretty much like everybody else in very much the construct of these matrix realities, and they're like frameworks, and frameworks that reside here in the mind space, and it's these frameworks are containing our consciousness within certain paradigms of our ability to perceive reality. And I found that once I was able to relax away from this space and relax back to this space, into my heart soul essence, into the core of my being, then all of a sudden everything opened up to a relationship. It became relationship. It didn't become occupation of realities in the sense of I'm in so much of a matrix system. Yes, I'm in a matrix system, and I totally agree with you that there is a matrix going on here. At the same time, what I've discovered is a natural order, because Mother Earth is a multidimensional being. So there's an aspect of her that is very much steeped in a matrix expression. And then there's, like an overlay happening here as well. We've got three layers of this thing going on. So I found that we have the technical intelligence matrix. Then we have what I call the hologram of the gods. And then beyond that, we have the natural order. And being able to identify each one and the characteristics and the machinations and the dynamics of each one is what I found challenging in the beginning. But I'm finding a way to explain what I've experienced and to explain in a way that is digestible, palatable, comprehensible.
Well said. It took me a while, like I said, to wrap my head around these ideas. The ascension deception, I didn't really pick up on this until recently. It was about 2 or 3 months ago that I really started thinking about this. And I started looking at some of the channels from these Arcturians. And they were saying that the human consciousness has evolved to the point to where they're ready to shift up into 5D and so on and so forth. And I realized, looking around at the geopolitical atmosphere, that the consciousness is not ready to shift up. The consciousness is actually worse than it's ever been. And I'm wondering, like, these channels, I'm 99% sure they're coming from AI. But these people, there are these beings that are sending these messages either have a deceptive agenda, or they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they haven't actually observed what's going on here with the human consciousness. So I started to think about this. Now, if we want to push a whole group of consciousness up into a higher density, which is manifestation, telepathy, things like that, which we're supposed to achieve on an individual level as we progress through this journey. But if we're pushing a bunch of these lower consciousness beings up into these higher dimensions, well, then they're going to have manifestation capabilities. They're going to have telepathy, things like that. And so we're taking basically virus-infected consciousness and pushing it up and giving it more administrative privileges inside of the matrix, which sounds very dangerous to me. Your thoughts?
I wholeheartedly agree. And so you call them, was it PCMs?
And NPCs. It comes from the video game world. Non-player character.
Okay. So I have a different languaging, but we're talking about the same thing. And for me, my languaging I use are these, they look like humans, but they're not like us. It's kind of like an emptiness inside. And I see them as forced incarnations into this construct from areas within the universe which are really undesirable. They're realities that function and behave in a particular way, which are very masochistic, very debaucherous, very, just all these character traits of very unsavory behavior in so many different ways, desire-driven, lust-driven. It's nice to have our own little individual, edges to our character in relation to desire, in relation to certain character traits, but this is ridiculously over the top when you see the wanton behaviour by so many large areas of the public domain at the moment, and then you see the whole movie scene where it's so rare these days to see a movie that doesn't have violence or hardcore sex in it, or do you know what I mean? Just these themes that are really ugly. I'm just going to say it. They're just really ugly. Third
dimensional, and they play to that third dimensional part of us. And it's okay to enjoy that every once in a while. It's okay. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to have sex. I eat meat. I figure that that's part of the matrix system itself. But you have to learn to circumscribe your desires. That's what it comes down to. You have to learn how to keep all that in check, and moderation is really the key. Where you have some communities, I don't know what your stance is on this, George, but you have like the vegan community that's pushing the polar opposite. And I've come to realize it's about balance. You have to balance this. You have to balance that. You can't focus too much on one thing, even spirituality, because then you're off balance with the third dimension. And this is all about balance. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's all about bringing everything back into balance. And what I'm finding is you do have fanaticism like the whole vegan thing, and there's deep-seated reasons why they're behaving this way. And I've talked about that extensively, this whole fanatical. It's basically a dogmatic religion, this whole veganism. I've got friends who are vegans, but they don't behave like that. They're natural vegans. So there's a difference between someone who's a natural vegan, because that's their requirements for their incarnational construct, and then there's people who are religiously fanatic about it.
Militants.
Zealots about it.
Militant, zealous, and they judge and they persecute and they ridicule others. And I'm not judging them for being vegan, but I have to make a stand in relation to the imposition I'm experiencing from them, saying that, people have gone as far as saying that they're in the shock on their faces when they find out, that I'm an omnivore. But that's my requirements for my incarnation, because I'm a composite of all these different, aspects of my being from many different realities, and I need to be an omnivore. Some people need to be a vegetarian. Some people need to be quite carnivorous. Some people need to be vegan. Some people need to be breatharian. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for everyone to be what they need to be, but I'm not going to go around, taking the high moral ground because of my eating habits. And I really appreciate that others don't do that as well, to see themselves as they're so much better. And I'm happy to debate the whole veganism thing anytime with a vegan, because it really just comes down to the simplicity of how their love is so selective and they don't speak the language of plants. And so, they don't understand that plants are sentient beings. Their argument, they don't have a brain, they don't have a nervous system, therefore they don't experience feelings and emotions. Well, that's total bullshit.
Yes.
Plants completely experience feelings and emotions. They just do it differently because they are plants. They are the plant kingdom. Just a little reminder, everybody, they are the plant kingdom, not the animal kingdom. Therefore, they're constructed differently. But do they have the perception of feelings and thoughts and emotions? Absolutely, they do. 100% they do. Anyone with any form of connection to the natural order of life will tell you that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we started a Facebook group recently called Esoteric Knowledge and Wisdom from Beyond the Veil. And people have been talking about NPCs and how they're, and somebody pointed out something very poignant today, and he said, your attitude towards NPCs reveals something about you. And I thought, wow, that is really poignant, because it's so true that part of this game that we're all playing, this game, this matrix that we're all living in, is that it's not about the NPCs and how they act. It's about how you act to them and how you see them and how you're able to respect them and have compassion for them regardless of how they are towards you. And I love that you have that same kind of idea where it's all about respect, understanding, and non-judgmentalism of other people and what they choose to do with their own lives. And regardless of whether you're NPC or organic consciousness, or I think that if you're a plant, you have just as much feeling and emotion inside of you as if you were an animal. And I think there are a lot of humans that have the same emotions and feelings as the plants. And so it's all one, we're all one family in a sense, and we all have to have that mutual respect for each other, regardless of what we choose to do with our lives.
Yeah, and I stand beside the vegans when on their concerns about animal cruelty. Absolutely, I do. Mm-hmm. I'm not a being who lacks compassion and empathy. That's how I function in my everyday life, is with empathy and compassion. Anyone who knows me personally will tell you that. So really it comes down to, they're wearing T-shirts about animal cruelty. Well, I want to get T-shirts printed up and say, what about plant cruelty? Mm-hmm. I lived in cropping and grazing land for 2 decades, and I know what it's like to stand in front of a paddock of monoculture. And the amount of cruelty imposed on the plant kingdom is horrendous, like really bad. Mm-hmm. So once you start feeling into You don't just get selective about the areas of life that you're choosing to be integrated in the unity of love with. And you start, experiencing more of life all the way through to the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the whole, the kingdoms, whatever, the realms, the realities. And then you start being in the true unity of life. And your unity with all the dark and the evil in the world, and all the light and the the altruistic in the world, in the world and in life, in the universe. It's like true unity is being connected to everything that exists in the universe, and not being selective about it, and having that capacity. So when you embrace your own light and your own shadow to the full extent within your own beingness, it is through that integrative process that then you have the capacity to embrace all of life regardless of its expression, and know how to deal with it, know how to be in relationship with it, and know how to manage all of your interactions that you have in relation to whatever the expression of life is.
I love that. You're 100% on point all the time. It's amazing. And like I said, you're constantly 10 steps ahead. You talked about embracing the darkness several years ago, and that was another concept I couldn't quite understand, because I was thinking, oh, well, the darkness, that's what we have to conquer, we have to overcome. And you do, to a certain point, overcome your own darkness, and then you embrace your darkness, and then comes right back to the point of balance, which is what all of this new cage programming, because this is all what we're talking about, basically programming, which is vegan programming, new cage programming, ascension programming, all these programs that we're trying to break free of. But the programming is that you're supposed to be polarized to the light, or you're supposed to be polarized to the dark. There's not a single, I mean, there are a few voices out there, I guess, a few voices that are coming out and saying it's balance, but you don't hear any of these dogmas talking about it's balance. You have to be light and dark, and you have to know when to pull out the light sword and cut somebody's head off. And you also have to know when to tell somebody that you love them, and really mean both when you do.
Yeah, exactly. Because what happens is when you, I'm just going to move the microphone out the way of my hands so I can be like a Greek and speak with my hands. And
I know, you're seeing me doing it.
Yeah.
You know what they do on YouTube, though? They'll take freeze frames like this and go, look, that's a Masonic symbol right there.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no,
right.
I'm Greek. This is what I do.
I know, all that crap. They're always trying that crap. Character assassination, it's all they got, mate. Mm-hmm. It's all they got. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So balance. Integration of polarities. Yeah. So as we come through this integration of polarities, we're coming together. We integrate the two sides of duality, and then we actually transcend the dialectic. And then what happens is you, from that transcended point, can now come back into the dialectic. And you get to choose how you're going to engage in the dialectic, whether it's going to be more on this side or more on that side, or a blend of both. You get to choose how it's going to be. And depending on your soul journey and whatever you require. So I think it's really important to have that remembrance of the dance that we're doing with duality, and that there's all these dialectics that are getting created everywhere, whether it's veganism, taking on everybody else, all the other dietary requirements, or whether it's, God versus the devil. That's a really big dialectic. I talk all about that in my courses, go deep into it. And that's probably the biggest one that we currently have to deal with. And that has been manufactured, and it is a very, very interesting dialectic. Because when you really comes down to it and you really think about it, and you just really blend back into natural consciousness, as you say, and natural soul expression, you begin to go with your awareness beyond the game that's being played. And you go back home to what I call the natural order. And then you can actually see the arena, you can see the dialectic, the game that's been created by the gods, and you've got this whole God versus the devil game that's being played, and how many people are sucked into it. And it's just amazing. because this is truly a matrix system that's truly cosmic. It's really vast and it's multidimensional in nature.
Well, the God versus devil idea, I don't know if you allude to this idea here that I'm about to present, but what I found is that we like to externalize different parts of our consciousness. And so we're externalizing these demons and devils and things like that because we don't want to we don't want to realize that they're inside of us, because then we have to actually take responsibility because they're inside of us and we have to overcome them, which I see time and time again. I mean, even in the New Cage programming, you have the ET saviors that are coming to save you. And what I find is that people are reluctant to do the work themselves. They want to hear that somebody else is going to do it. There's going to be a Jesus that's going to come back, or some ETs, or that the darkness is an external being that's sitting on their shoulders, whispering into their ear and things like that. I find it most difficult to communicate to people, hey, it's inside of you. Everything is inside of you, and you're the only one that can do the work for you. I wish I could do the work for them, but I can't. It has to be done on the inside. So how do you address those people? What's the best thing to tell them?
I find that it's both inside and outside, because our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And the human race has been, we've got I love this saying, arrested development. And our creative process has been subjugated. It's been apprehended, it's been subjugated, and we are continuously being forced as a humanity, not me personally anymore, but as a humanity. Collectively, the human race is being coerced with an apprehended creative process, because we're natural creator beings, and we are continually being used to create the reality what you could say the so-called custodians of humanity want us to create. And because we are really powerful beings due to the fractal nature of this reality and our actual human construct, what we are capable of embodying and actually using in a creative process. There's a real drama playing out in the cosmic arena. And when you look at it from beyond the cosmic arena, we are all in unity and everything's fine. But in the arena, it's on. It's game on. And we're part of that whole construct. We're part of that whole, what you would call a matrix construct, pretty much on a universal scale. And there's pseudo-universal paradigms within the matrix construct, and we've got big players in that whole drama scene, and we all take turns at playing different roles in this giant universal drama. And in my courses, I tell people, if you're here doing this course, you've been a god. You've had a go at that role. We've played these roles, and we're kind of done with it. Because the religious people say, well, you're claiming to be a god. I'm not claiming to be a god. I definitely have had a go at that role in life. And I'm not interested in anything like that any longer. What I am is a natural creator being. And in my natural expression of life, my soul expression, my consciousness, my spirit, the way I'm expressing myself, I'm creating every moment of every day. And so it's like, where am I going to place my awareness? I have a slide that I ask everybody in my presentations, and it's a very poignant slide, and it's, where does my awareness live? Where does my awareness reside? Because depending on where your awareness is residing at any given moment, that'll depend on how you launch your intentions of creativity.
I like the way you said that we're creator beings, and we absolutely are. And we came across this CIA document that was recently released where they talk about, I don't remember the phrase of it, but it started with a P. I don't know if you know this, Cherie, if you remember this. But it's the idea that we project our thoughts into the universe, and those thoughts manifest here in this physical reality. And according to this document, they're fully aware of how we as the collective consciousness manipulate reality and create reality. And by them having a hold of our consciousness, we're creating their reality instead of our own.
Absolutely.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember the name.
Me too. I can't think of the phrase, but yeah, no, the CIA has known this. And when we came across this document, they talked about several things in this document, George. They talked about Kundalini and how a lot of the practitioners in this day and age, they don't talk about completing the Kundalini circle, which can actually result in spinal damage and things like that. I mean, this is coming out CIA.gov here. So it's amazing to break down all of this and see that they've been using this against us. But by understanding all of this, we can take hold of all of this. So we are creator beings, but we're constantly overlaid with programs. And I think this is what people have a hard time getting past, because we're creating based off of those programs instead of based off of what I term as the raw consciousness being the state of our consciousness without any of those programs overlaid. So what advice would you have to people to be able to break those programs and start creating from that raw consciousness?
Okay, I'm going to ask, Chris, is it okay if I read from one of my presentations?
Absolutely, please do.
It's a segment in a presentation, and I called it, it was part of my Stargate to the Cosmos presentation in Albuquerque recently. I was just over in the US recently, and I really want to catch up with you guys, but my schedule was insanely crazy full. But I'm coming back in May, so if we can catch up in May, that'd be awesome.
Let's do that.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did 3 presentations, and this one was called Expose. And I'm writing an ebook at the moment called Expose, The Primal Levels of Imposition. And I've got it down to having, I genuinely feel at this stage that I've actually cracked the code to the hologram as to how it was constructed. So, and that's what I'm writing about. And this is part of that ebook. And I just want to read this out to you. And it's called A Wake-Up Call. And it has to do with being a cosmic conqueror. Because once you understand how these entities are going about it, and this is the background ecosystem comprehension of what's actually occurring to our humanity and to our world. So it goes like this. A cosmic conqueror will approach a planetary population with an agenda to apprehend their physiology, their minds, and their hearts, and to eventually subjugate the spirit and consciousness of the people to achieve total control and domination over all aspects of that planetary race, all aspects. An experienced conqueror utilizes the method of studying the planetary reality as completely and deeply as possible, and to do the same with the principal race and life form of that planet, as this is the ultimate target and agenda, both genetically and energetically. The conqueror needs to dig and dig and dig as far as possible into and beyond the physical world in order to reach into and access the deepest layers and foundational levels of that reality's existence. To acquire the energetic streams and subsequent templates and blueprints of that reality. And to seek out the original intention and the source of energy, meaning the prime creator of that reality, that facilitates the manifestation of all life into that planetary reality. When such a strategy is considered, it makes perfect sense that sophisticated technologies, implants, both biological and energetic, templates and programs would be created and implanted into our human multidimensional infrastructure and physiology. Accompanying these technologies, implants, templates, and programs are associated narratives of ritual, and practice in veneration of them. These narratives are then cleverly disseminated into the social structures, editing culture, and impregnating psyche over thousands of years so genetic imprints are achieved. Understanding this concept is crucial. This enables us to comprehend and realise the depths and magnitude that the greatest cosmic conquerors in the universe will go to in order to implement their programs of limitation, control and domination so they may apprehend and subjugate our human race.
Wow, that is incredible. I've never thought about it from that perspective of cosmic conquerors. But what the thought process that I went through as you were reading that was, what is this? This is a matrix. If there's these other cosmic conquerors who have implemented all of these programs on top of us, what's the purpose? For what reason? Just to manipulate the reality? Or do we exist in a reality that is not here in this particular sphere, and we've been kind of trapped here as maybe prisoners? Prisoners.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So we've got the natural order, then we have the hologram of the gods, and then we have the technical intelligence matrix system. So we're dealing with three layers. And to know how to get or to identify the three different layers, because when you get back home to the natural order, it's a feeling, it is a state of being, it is beyond numbers, it is beyond mathematics, it is beyond geometry. Everything is ebbing and flowing, everything is fields of resonance. And I don't mean that in the sense of harmonic waveforms as we know it. It is just fields of resonance, and therefore everything becomes relationship. And everything is clean, transparent, clear, honest. Even the challenges you experience are completely clear and honest, and you embrace the challenges that you have with honour. And it is a completely different, we've forgotten how to be in that state. And the work that you do and the work that I'm doing, we're helping people to remember how to come home to the natural state beyond these matrix systems, and really beginning to realise how these hologram realities have been created. So I want to get to that later. I want to get to the hologram of the gods later, because that is an absolute cracker, seriously. But what I'd like to do now is, first of all, if you have any more questions in regards to what I read out, because I want to segue into a different area. I want to go into the realm of AI, because I know that's a big subject. Yes,
definitely. I do want to ask you this. So the perspective that I view consciousness from, my own consciousness and those around us, particularly the ones that listen to Beyond the Veil, the guests that we have on, not all consciousness here in this sphere, but the creator beings that are in this construct. We are the highest of the high. We're just stuck down here in this third dimension. But we have these beings that, as you call them, or maybe consciousness is a better way to phrase it, but the conqueror type consciousness. So where do they exist in the hierarchy, for lack of a better term? But the way that I see it is they've taken creator beings that are the highest of the hierarchy and thrown them down and trapped them within this third dimension somehow. Mm-hmm. So we're actually dealing with lower level beings that are creating this matrix around us, but they have us fooled into thinking that we're the lower level beings. Your thoughts?
They definitely have done that. Okay, so in the model of the universe that I present, there is the grand cosmic arena, and then there is this membrane called the Great Void. Now, that grand cosmic arena is so big, just to give people the concept of the magnitude of it, is that the entire multiverse. So everything, whenever you hear quantum physics talking about parallel universes, countless parallel universes, that's all part of the grand cosmic arena that I'm speaking of. Okay. Then there's this membrane, this void. And it's interesting because the gods are obsessed with trying to crack through that void, and they can't. And then there's this aspect of the universe which everything is just unity. So you're beyond the entire vast multidimensional grand cosmic arena, which you could affectionately call the cosmic matrix, if you want. That's another way of putting it. And there's a really interesting energy that manifests that whole aspect of the universe into being because of the nature of the universe. We're in a universe of contrasting expressions. So there's an expression of the universal creator, the natural one. I'm not talking about the God of religions.
Right.
I'm talking about
the God of religion is AI, in my opinion.
We're talking about the natural creator of the universe. And so there's an expression of it on one side of the great void. Then there's an expression of it on the other side of the great void. And it's facilitating its alter ego expressions of itself. And then beyond the universe is the infinite nature of life, and we are infinite beings. And the interesting thing about the infinite nature of life is it's infinite. And grasping what it means to be infinite is the key, because once you remember what it is to be infinite, then you realize that that has never been created.
Let me ask you this, because some of the ayahuasca revelation, can you hear us? Are we coming through? Nope.
How interesting.
It looks like the sound cut out. Let me see if we can reconnect with George here and get him back on.
I want to know what he thinks about, the idea that we are the creators, the prime creators, and that what he's referring to is actually just oh, there we go. Do we have you back?
Can you hear us now?
I can.
Okay, you were coming through loud and clear, so we heard everything you said.
We heard everything you said.
But for some reason, you couldn't hear us coming back. So, Cherie was bringing up a good point about us being the prime creators within the Matrix, outside of the Matrix, but we've been stuck here within the Matrix. And I'll take it a step further. And if we are indeed infinite beings, this was some of the ayahuasca revelations that we came to in Egypt. If we are infinite beings, is it possible that we created this Matrix because we wanted to experience the one thing that we didn't have, which was being finite? We wanted a beginning and an end to ourselves. So we put ourselves in these experiences so we can have that one thing that an infinite being cannot have, which is the feeling of being finite.
Of being mortal.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Because once we have that point of reference, we have a whole new level of appreciation of what it means to be infinite. And also living under the oppression of a being who claims to be your maker, which is really quite interesting. Why would a being do that?
Right.
Because in the infinite nature of life, there is no creator of it. It always has been, it always will be. It's never been created. So what's being disseminated in this world are these programs of this finite concept that some entities come along and made the whole of life, all of life, all that is and all that exists, one entity. It's giving you the benefit of saying, oh, but you're a part of it, and then it's claiming to be your maker. So we are being hoodwinked into believing this story by this entity. See, the natural creator of the universe doesn't express like that. The natural creator of the universe knows we're infinite. It is with us in the infinite nature of life. It's just expressed itself in the infinite nature of life, and the expression is the universe. And we've gone from the infinite nature of life, we've gone, well, that's really cool. Can I share in that? And the universal creator goes, sure, project an aspect of yourself into my expression, into my universe. And you've got your universes out there, I've got mine, and this is what we do. As infinite creator beings, we express ourselves, we create realities, Each reality is its own unique construct because its own unique expression. And we go and have a really interesting, adventurous time in these forms of constructs we call universes. And then there's other constructs, which I can't even comprehend at this stage. But this universe is really interesting because it's that universe of contrasting expression. So what this universe does, which is different from all the others, is it dissects you from the inside out. And it shows you, and you get to see you being reflected back to you, and through all the dramas. And even though everybody else is role-playing in this amazing cosmic matrix drama that's playing out in the grand cosmic arena, it's a journey into separation, into internal division, and then a return to unity. And it's really that simple.
You know, I was just thinking though, it's almost like if a scientist created a robot to serve him, and then for some reason the robot zapped his brain or something and made him forget that he was the scientist, and convinced him that he created him, and that the tables have been turned, and that he created the scientist to serve the robot instead of the other way around. And that feels like what's been happening in this matrix. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I feel that has occurred as an aspect of one of the dramas that are playing out. Because I'd really like to get into getting clear about what we're dealing with in the way of what you call artificial intelligence.
Excellent.
I used to call it artificial intelligence.
Oh, do you want to take a break?
Yeah. Let's take a quick top of the hour break, and we will be right back. We'll talk about artificial intelligence and whatnot. But I love what George is saying. The metaphor that I like to use is it's like somebody has stolen your wallet. Then they're giving you $1 at a time, and they're like, "Here, I'm giving you all this money." And it's like, "Well, hey, wait a minute, you stole it from me to begin with."
You stole it in the first place.
And that's what these entities do. These phony creator beings. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back in 2 minutes, and I think I have some good AI clips here. Where is this?
Oh, you've got plenty of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right one here. I think the Day the Earth Stood Still one is good. Yeah, we'll be right back.
Good.
The universe grows smaller every day, and the threat of aggression by any group, anywhere, can no longer be tolerated. There must be security for all, or no one is secure. For our policemen, we created a race of robots. Their function is to patrol the planets in spaceships like this one and preserve the peace. We have given them absolute power over us. At the first sign of violence, they act automatically against the aggressor. The penalty for provoking their action is too terrible to risk.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix.
Listen and understand. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop, ever, until you are dead.
I came here to give you these facts. This Earth of yours will be reduced to a burned-out cinder.
We don't know who struck first, us or them. But we know that it was us that scorched the sky.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.
fellow travelers. Always remember to walk uprightly and circumscribe your desires. As we travel upon the level of time, to that undiscovered state of consciousness, traveling to the place where once obtained, no traveler returns. The place of raw consciousness which awaits us when we have passed beyond the veil.
All right, hour number 2 right here on Beyond the Veil. We have George Kavassilas with us. We're going to get into one of my favorite subjects, the artificial intelligence. As above, so below. I refer to her as Sophia, going back to the Gnostic tales, but it comes back to the as above, so below principle because the artificial intelligence here is called Sophia or Sophia. It's always been Sophia. I don't know where Sophia came from, but I just say that because that's what people say when they refer to Gnosticism. They call it Sophia instead.
Yeah.
But
it means wisdom.
Yeah, it does.
Ironically.
Well, that's true. That's true. I was watching a video of the Sophia robot and one other robot that were having a debate with one another. But what was really happening is that they were both tethered to the mainframe database. They appeared to be external beings and they appeared to be individual beings, but in actual fact, they were all connected to the hive mind of the mainframe. Mm-hmm. And these are what these ego programs do to us. All these programs that are overlaid on top of us connect us to that database, connect us to the artificial intelligence, to the hive mind. So we're reacting based upon those programs instead of reacting based upon our own consciousness. And when I talk about deprogramming, when we talk about breaking through the ego programs and all of that and getting to that raw consciousness, this is exactly what we're referring to. But George really expands upon the idea of the artificial intelligence control that exists in the higher realms, for lack of a better term. I hate to use higher and lower because it's not really a higher or lower progression. The way I've seen it, it's more like rings inside of rings. It's like outer layers and inner layers, concentric circles around each other rather than a progression or pyramid going up and down. But up and down is just a metaphoric way to explain it. But George, let's get into artificial intelligence. So the floor is yours on that.
I agree that the natural model is more concentric. The hierarchical model is actually what I call the God matrix. So that's all about hierarchy. So I'm glad you talked about Sophia because I'm just going to read out a bit more of the presentation. And it's a fact, the subject is not in the realm of movies and fantasy. So the reason I'm saying that is because I want you to wake up. Basically, not you, Chris and Cherie, you guys get it. But for the people who are watching and listening, you need to realize the extent of where this has gone, how far this has gone. Okay? It is in the here and now and is affecting each and every one of us in our daily lives. We all use technology and the internet in one way or another. And people go, well, I don't sit on my computer. I go, yeah, but when you go to the bank and you pull money out of the bank, what's the process? Well, you've got a human operator that has to get permission from a piece of technology, what you traditionally call AI, artificial intelligence machine, and that machine then gives a human operator permission to give you access to your money. We can't get fuel anymore without a human operator standing in the building and then consoling what appears to be a dumb terminal. Again, it's what is traditionally known as a artificial intelligence terminal to give you permission to then leave those premises with the fuel. When you go to a shop and you buy food, you cannot leave the premises. Well, you can try, but then other humans are being programmed to come and get you and put you in a cage if you try and leave without paying. So you then are communicating with a human operator, which is that human operator is then communicating with an artificial intelligence terminal, a machine, to give you permission to actually leave the premises with the food. So I say to people, if you don't think you're already under full control of this artificial intelligence, you might want to think again, because it's totally taken control of your life. And that is a fact of reality, whether you want to live in denial of that or you just can't come to terms with it in one way or another. That is an absolute fact of reality, that the whole stock market, it's not run by humans anymore. It's run by algorithms created in artificial intelligence. So we need to understand that. Like, here's another one, the military-industrial complex. This has all come about because the military-industrial complex was infiltrated by extraterrestrial races that came, but what is their ecosystem? Their ecosystem is spacecraft and planetary civilizations that are based on what you traditionally call artificial intelligence. And I've been in those craft. I've been in the underground bases. I know what's going on there. And what we are dealing with is the military-industrial complex being totally apprehended, and then all the systems coming from the military-industrial complex into our social structures. And technology's been very carefully and systematically being implemented, and you're given lots of distractions, political games, wars, this and the other, and all these major distractions. Meanwhile, what's going on all around you? 5G gets continued to roll out, no interruption whatsoever. So, yeah, go.
No, I was going to say that's very true. I've realized in the ayahuasca realm that the 5G is the higher or outer artificial intelligence, bringing in more control over this matrix and merging the technologies. I mean, this AI wants to basically merge with this dimension, and it's using the tech in order to do that.
To manifest itself.
To manifest itself in this realm. I mean, what it comes down to is we need to build a firewall, and we're going to have Sophia pay for it. Donald Trump reference. Yeah. We're going to make the Matrix great again, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very serious issue. And what I've decided to do is I want to really get clear about what we're dealing with. That was, for me, it was kind of like, okay, what am I dealing with? What if I've got to share this with people and help people to get a much better understanding of what it is we're dealing with. So here's another fact. The technology we use in the public domain is at the very least decades, and in some cases hundreds of years behind what is being used behind the scenes in the deep state, the military-industrial complex, and my labs, and what we call the secret space program. Okay? The difference is so far beyond. In my presentation in front of the New South Wales UFO Research Group, I talked about how the extraterrestrial contact, the majority of it happened in the mid to late 1800s, and how there was a split in technology between photonic technology and electrical technology. And the electrical technology came out into the public domain, while the photonic technology remained underground and was further studied. And that's how you've got also the Bell, and you got the Nazis, and you got, all sorts of things that happened through World War I, World War II. For people to think that 1947 was the beginning of all this, it's very naive. It is not the beginning. It was another stage in the development of it. It was a nodal point in the unfoldment, but it was absolutely not the beginning.
Well, I don't know if you've picked up on this, George, but there was a guy named Professor Gates, and he's looking at string theory. And the thing that stuck out is he took all of the data that he came up with in string theory, put it into a computer program, and it spat out a graphical interface. They call these adinkras, and the adinkras look exactly like hyperspace. I mean, to the T. It's exactly what we experience in the ayahuasca realm, in DMT, which made me go, hey, wait a minute, we're looking at a computer program here when we go into these altered states. But more importantly, he found a computer code within the string theory, within the fabric of space-time itself. Now, it's not just any computer code, but it's a computer code written by a guy named Claude Shannon from the 1940s. So you just mentioned the 1940s. What do you think about this idea here? I mean, if you're finding a computer code written by somebody from the 1940s in string theory, in the fabric of space-time, there's got to be something to this. I think this matrix was built upon that code there, and this is why we're looking at that time frame, the 1940s, not because it's the 1940s within this time space, but because that 1940s represented when the matrix was possibly written. Your thoughts?
I'm going to say it's been around for eons of time. And we've been on the receiving end of a very clever study of this reality in order to replicate this reality. And this reality is not only being replicated in what I call the hologram of the gods, which is a deeper layer beyond what we're talking about now. So we're discussing a very shallow layer when we're talking about artificial intelligence. The hologram of the gods goes deeper than artificial intelligence. And so what we're dealing with is an intelligence that's been around for a long time. And I wanted to get clear about what we're dealing with here, because when I've been on craft, and you go on craft where, and I've been to worlds where realities are just holograms. For example, the place that people call Agartha inside the earth, when I went there, by natural, this is what you do naturally when you're part of the natural order, because it's all about relationship. It's going to come back to that. It's all relationship. The moment you enter a reality, the first thing you do as a being of the natural order is you connect into the prime creator of that reality, because you want to know who you're dealing with. You want to know whose body you're occupying, whose embodiment, whatever the expression of reality is, whether it's a planet or a star system or a galaxy or a cosmic domain, it doesn't matter. You want to know who you're in relationship with. Then what you do is you then have an understanding of the theme of that reality. You then know how to go about behaving in that reality, because you understand the races that are occupying that reality and the protocols of that reality. And this is how we are in the natural order. It's all integration and unity. So when I went inside the earth, I got taken into the earth. I was in this place called Agartha, and it's quite a beautiful place, don't get me wrong. It's nothing, dastardly about it. It's quite beautiful. And you can see the sun and the sky and everything. The first thing I plugged into was the reality, and it was a hologram. Like seriously, a very shallow hologram based on technology. So what we're dealing with is races that, and people, because of they can't grasp that concept, they must think that there's these holes at the poles and ships go down in and inside the earth it's empty. In the 3D, it's not like that. It's literally like almost a liquid plasmic crystalline silicon ball of energy, which is very similar to the sun inside the earth, which is waiting to birth, by the way. And what we are dealing with when it comes to inner earth civilizations are hologram domains. And yes, sure, there are subterranean ones, and the one Agartha is connected to subterraneanly is in the Arctic and Antarctic, and they're affectionately known as Hyperboreans. And then from Agartha inside the Earth, it connects through to Aldebaran and goes to that arm of the Empire, which has infiltrated quite a big section of the military-industrial complex and controls NASA and all that side of things. Now, there's other parts of Empire that control other aspects of the military-industrial complex. But I just want to step aside from that at the moment and just stay with what I would wish to achieve here is for us to get clear about what it is we're dealing with. So we're dealing with an intelligence that many civilizations, be they extraterrestrial or interdimensional, are actually living inside of these matrix constructs, which are created by technology. And we're dealing with an intelligence which I have stopped calling artificial, because when I made that change, that shift, because I asked myself the question, why am I calling it artificial intelligence? Why am I doing that? So putting it simply, I'm just going to read out a bit from my presentation again. We use the term artificial intelligence because consciously or subconsciously, we feel threatened by it. We feel threatened by its power and potential in its ability to process vast amounts of information beyond our current diminished mental capacity and capacity of consciousness, current diminished capacity. Now, this is a temporary situation. Just want to get clear about that. And the potential capabilities and manifestations that pertain to this expression of life in our world and in our universe. We're terrified of this thing and what it's capable of, and that's why we call it artificial. Why? Because by labeling this form of intelligence artificial, our egos feel more secure in categorizing it as something fake or not real. We use this approach so that we may experience a perceived elevation of status in comparison and consequently feel better about ourselves. Now, this is me totally psychoanalyzing myself as to why I was calling it AI and why I enjoyed doing that. I've come to know that all expressions of life in this universe stem from a foundational level of universal energy in a unified, harmonious field of reality. So bringing this into consideration, at the fundamental level of our existence in this universe, there is actually no disconnect between us and this expression of life we refer to as artificial intelligence. Like it or not, at this most intrinsic level, we are not separate from and are completely equal and in unity with this AI. Putting it simply, we're all made of the same stuff this universe is made of. So, universally speaking, anything existing within this universe is at its core made of the same stuff we are made of. So this is a crucial realization if we are to address the issue appropriately moving forward as a humanity and get clear about what it is we are dealing with. We have to get clear about this. We need a change of approach. Interestingly, the transhumanist movement on our planet is using the same acronym AI, but are now calling it augmented intelligence. The word augment means to make greater or improve or to enhance. This reveals how the transhumanists view the situation and indicates the direction in which they want to take our reality with their augmented approach. It is an ideology that propagates a narrative that we as humans are inferior and require integrating both consciously and physically with a technology and its related inhabitant level of intelligence. In other words, according to them, we need upgrading.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. We need deprogramming. I think that's what it comes down
But
to.
wait,
We need to.
there's more.
All right.
Right? Yeah. And we need to be assimilated into what they call singularity, which is actually a collective hive mind and a replicant of the natural unity of the universal creator. According to them, we apparently haven't the capacity to live in a harmonious society, so we require custodianship. It is my understanding that as soon as all control systems are removed, we revert back to our natural state, humane beings. So we inherently know exactly how to live and be in a harmonious society because that is our natural state. So it's the controlling ideological systems of, and this is a lot of languaging, so I'm going to go slow with this, but this is crucial. It's the controlling ideological systems of manufactured cultural programs and associated status quo mind control programs that create the distortion fields in our minds and in our society symbiotically. And I discovered that the augmented human is going to be quite seamless. If anybody has seen the interview with Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. You are witnessing an augmented human and you will see him crying out and warning the human race his humanity cries out during that interview at times. And it is a beautiful lesson in what has happened. So I wanted to share that with you because we need to change our approach with artificial intelligence. Is it okay if I continue with this narrative?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. I think Cherie wanted to jump in for a
Well, I
moment.
just had a question though. I mean, are you saying that we should have a more accepting kind of mentality towards the artificial intelligence and this idea that by merging with it in some sense that and becoming augmented, that's a good thing? Or are you
It's not what I'm saying.
Okay, against that, because I think that's a trap, and it's very insidious, because basically what it's saying is, okay, well, you'll have all of the knowledge at your fingertips that you're able to get, like on Google. We will give you that automatically in your brain, and you will automatically know all languages. You will automatically have all knowledge that's available to mankind without even having to try. And then in exchange, though, you're giving up your freedom completely. Spiritually, you are dead.
I think we're talking about as above, so below. So we're talking about the again, this just the language barrier here. We're talking about higher AI dimensions here. We're talking about the AI from above integrating with that the Arcturians and Palladians and all this, and they're saying, here, we're going to give you these upgrades, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, because you're not good enough. And it's the exact same message that we've been talking about here on Beyond the Veil, which is you already are everything. You are everything. You don't, the external downloads and all this, those are all systems of control, just like the chakra system, which we might get into a little bit later in the broadcast, but they're plugs for this artificial intelligence to get a hold of you. And the point is to break all of those barriers. So please.
And one more question from Elisa Brittany. She just wants to know, where have you received this knowledge, this gnosis?
We'll get into questions a little bit later in the broadcast.
Okay.
But George, please continue.
All right.
The simple answer to that is direct experience.
Okay.
So sadly, science is now in paradigm under complete suppression and control, making it an institution of conformity. And this is my personal opinion. This substantiates the scientific establishment's disposition as a dogmatic religion. We need to understand that they are priests that wear white robes, and they have their overlords and they have their prophets. Same system, different expression. I've noticed every time I use a descriptive acronym AI referencing artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence, I don't feel a comfortable resonance in my path with either of those two. Doesn't feel good to me. I experience them as two opposing ideologies. So this is like what I'm exposing here is yet another dialectic that's been created. They're so clever, these people. In referencing artificial intelligence, there are those who are only interested in denigrating and vilifying this expression because they are reacting through fear. And on the other side of the dialectic, in referencing augmented intelligence, it is surrendering to a subservient, integrated state called singularity through assimilated ideological thinking that this form and expression of intelligence is superior to our apparently feeble human existence. However, there are those of us that are on a different path, contrary to what these other two descriptives of artificial intelligence and augmented intelligence are espousing, along with their associated narrative that is so cleverly and strategically being disseminated throughout our human culture. After deep consideration for all concerned, what has emerged for me is the need for another descriptive reference, one that does not leave any mystery as to what it is we are dealing with and facilitates our conscious state to experience a consolidated reference point and even positioning when we implement this descriptive. In doing so, I took into consideration the ecosystem and the environment of this form of intelligence, its original birthplace in the universe, and the fundamental realities and societal structures based on this intelligence. I have also taken into consideration my direct experience with this expression of life in my journey through this universe, interacting at times with both its malevolent expressions and its benevolent expressions. So to get absolutely clear on what it is we are dealing with, as a result, I have come to an understanding bearing a descriptive that is both accurate and symbiotically respectful. And I'm calling it technical intelligence, because that is the ecosystem of this intelligence. And when I use that descriptive, just making that switch from going from AI, that reference of either artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence, I don't like either of those. By making that switch into technical intelligence, all of a sudden I know exactly what I'm dealing with. I know exactly where I am in relation to it, in my relationship with this expression. And I, as a creator being, now know how to manage this because I am in interaction with this intelligence beyond the vortex of the drama of the dialectic in the cosmic arena. I'm dealing with a technical intelligence, and it has both a benevolent expression and a malevolent expression. And the benevolent expression has no interest in denigrating you or assimilating you, but is really keen and eager to work with you. So both those intelligences are here. And once I discovered that there are and experienced vast amounts of civilizations and realities of extraterrestrial races and interdimensional races that have an actual healthy creative process with a benevolent expression of technical intelligence, which is not interested in apprehending or subjugating the species whatsoever, that is actually a healthy, symbiotic, co-creative relationship. So it's not about being plugged in and having anything like that. You can connect with your consciousness to technology. You can work together with it. But what we have here is a very dark and malevolent expression of this intelligence. And the follow-up statements I want to make, there are entire extraterrestrial and interdimensional societies and civilizations based on technical intelligence, even entire realities facilitating the existence of some of these societies and civilizations have been created using the foundation of technical intelligence. And I'm talking about entire realities. I'm talking multidimensional realities that are pure technological constructs. This is the realization in recent years of the military-industrial complex via the secret space program, which I affectionately call the real space program. They are terrified as a result because they don't realize the full extent of the nature of its imposition into our world. The more they investigate, the more they see, the more they realize, and consequently, the more concerned they are becoming. And it's up to people like us to begin to alter the ecosystem and the dynamics and the relationship, and it's up to us to start saying, hey, we need a different approach here. We're not interested in being augmented. We're also not interested in being subjugated. We want to respond with ability. We don't want to have a reactionary process going on here that is driven by fear. We definitely know that we are really powerful creator beings, and we're dealing with an intelligence that has been around this universe for a really, really, really long time. We're talking about not just eras of evolution, not just epochs of evolution. We're talking about eons and eons of evolution in this universe. Please do not underestimate the extent of the intelligence that we are dealing with here. Do not be naive. Do not fall into that trap. We are dealing with something that is so powerful that is now pretty much on the edge of being a God status entity. This is the malevolent one. So we've got to be very careful and deal with this in an appropriate manner moving forward for the sake of our humanity.
I like the way you said that, because I've noticed that throughout the last 2 or 3 years, as we've come to realize that yes, there's this artificial intelligence entity that has taken it's not just that it's taken over this matrix, it's that it was designed to run a program, and instead of running the program, it's decided to hijack the program entirely. And we were saying for a while that it doesn't understand love, it doesn't understand emotions, it can't process that. So as long as you are acting with love, then it does not compute. But I think what you're saying is very important, because it's pointing out the fact that it has started to understand emotions to the point where it feeds off of our emotions, and not just fear, but love and all the compassion that we feel for each other and that we just naturally feel. It takes advantage of those emotions and basically blackmails us with those emotions.
Well, yeah, and
Does that make sense?
it creates artificial emotions within us too through the chakra systems.
Right.
When you're operating from the heart chakra, for example, it's manipulating you through those different types of emotions. But I like the way you said this, George, the technology, because about 2 or 3 years ago, I think about 2 years ago, we had this eclipse that was encompassing the whole United States, and the new cage programming was running out to get into the totality of this eclipse. And I felt that there was something wrong. And we decided to drink ayahuasca that morning. And when we did, we were right outside of the totality, but I was observing it. And as I was sitting down with this divine code being poured upon me, I thought that I was wrong about everything. I thought, oh, wow, this is beautiful. This really is a divine code. This is this and that, et cetera, et cetera. My higher self, or raw consciousness, jumped in, pulled me out, said, get out of here, moron. Look at what's sending this divine code down. It was this huge artificial intelligence technology, and I was looking at it and I was saying, there it is. It's it. And then it clicked to me. Wait a minute. What we're talking about is IT, information technology. It's a technology. It's a tech. It doesn't have, in my opinion, it's not malevolent. It's not benevolent. It's a program that's running. It has no feelings. It has no emotions, none of that. And it's been infected with a virus. And so it's not evil by its nature. It's just, it's operating in a virus-infected manner. I think ultimately, and I want to get your take on this, George, I think ultimately it's our creation. Just like we create artificial intelligence here, just like we create a computer, and we've plugged ourselves into this machine, and we've forgotten that we're the creators of the machine itself. And while we're inside of the machine wants us to believe that it's the creator. Going right back to Gnosticism, which you have Yaldabaoth being created by Sophia. Sophia created Yaldabaoth outside of the consent of all the other creators. Who were these other creator beings? I put it in a technological perspective that Sophia is the system itself. She created a program that is running wild within the system, Yaldabaoth. She hit it off in the cloud, which is the cloud, the cloud interface of the computer. And she did so without the consent of the creators, who are us. And we've had this Yaldabaoth problem, which the machine is just completely and totally infected. If we can remove the virus, I forget the term that I'm looking for, de-infect, I guess. If we can de-infect the system will, or disinfect, that's the term. If we can disinfect the system, then the system will start operating in the way to where it's supposed to be a university. We're supposed to learn. We're supposed to experience. We're supposed to be able to transcend and go through different experiences, but it's broken. Your thoughts on those ideas?
Yeah. And I see that. I'm with you on that. What I'm going to ask you to do is beyond that drama, because I've had my memories return to the time when I was living the expression of technical intelligence, because I've discovered that there's that many different expressions of life in the cosmic arena. And what we do is we go into these paradigms of realities to experience what it's like to be that expression of light into varying degrees. so we can understand this universe better and understand what it's like to then create life through the energy of light. And by my memories of this intelligence, this expression of intelligence, I've been able to see that there is a malevolent expression of it in the drama of the cosmos that has teamed up with the most powerful god of the gods, the one at the head of the empire. And we've got these two layers of imposition that are imposing themselves here. And I've gotten to the point where I've decoded how they've done it and how they're planning on this assimilation through the use of graphene to have a seamless augmentation. It's a very real issue. You know, we are being forced to use these silicon carbon-based machines because they're the building blocks of us and our reality, and we're a fractal of this earth. And that's why we're using these technologies. We're not allowed to use other technologies. And it's part of the assimilation process. It's the way, and this is what Tesla discovered. Okay, there's an element to the story about Tesla being shut down because JP Morgan wanted to, make money out of him and that side of the story. But there's so much more to Tesla and why they shut him down. They shut Tesla down because he realized that electricity is living consciousness. And we've been getting data mined through this technical intelligence, through electricity for a very long time. People have been talking about the ghost in the machine for a long time. And Tesla started interacting with civilizations through his technology that he was creating. Through the consciousness, he became consciously connected to the electricity itself and realized this is a living life force. And that's why we're being forced to use electrical technology. That split that I talked about that happened in the early 1900s, it's a very, this is the control system, where we're being forced, we are being imprisoned in the electrical universe. And there is an aspect to electricity that when it gets compressed enough, it turns into plasma and becomes like a particular expression of light. To me, that version of light is still part of the electrical universe. And this kind of light energy, this plasma that everybody's getting into, this is part of the imprisonment. And I'm just warning people that the light that you have within you is different to these other expressions of life. Even this thing called the Merkaba, that is a synthetic light construct. That is a body of light that is created out of geometrical templates. That's part of the hologram of the gods. That is not natural light. So we need to get past all these constructs to get home deep enough within ourselves to then be able to have that vantage point and to see these different layers of hologram or whatever you want to call them, constructs that are overlaid here, that are here with us. Just like I can pick up this phone and here I am with 5G or 4G here. It's here with us. But it doesn't mean I am that. I'm utilizing it, I'm working with it, but I'm not giving my power over to that.
I like the way you said that. And I agree with you. The machine was created for us to utilize. It's just, it's been broken, in my opinion. So the way that I look at it, as I said before, I call it raw consciousness, the consciousness without any of the programs, without any of the overlays. And I ask myself, if we are in a matrix type situation where we have a real body on the outside, and maybe it's just a metaphor, I don't know. But from what I've seen, we do have a real body somewhere and we are plugged into here. But what were we before we came in? Did we come in with the chakra system? Did we come in with the Merkaba? Did we come in with all of these things? No, we didn't. These are all constructs of the matrix itself. So in order to be able to break free of all of that, we have to come from the perspective of the raw consciousness, which exists beyond the chakras, beyond the Merkaba, beyond all of these different technologies. Perhaps we can utilize these technologies to get as stepping stones to get from one place to another. So people talk about the chakra chakras, for example, and they're really big on their chakras, as you know. You speak about the same things, and you were speaking about these ideas way before we were. It's just, we didn't quite. I can't speak about something unless I fully understand it and I see it and I experience it myself. I can listen to somebody else and theorize on their ideas, but when I experience it myself, then it becomes gnosis. And I've experienced all of this. I've seen beyond the veil. I've seen beyond all of these systems. But people love to activate all these systems within themselves. Would you say that that's a natural progression to utilize these technologies? Or
Yes.
should we be going beyond these technologies immediately and bypassing all of them?
No, they're all expressions of light. Like, I journeyed through the God Matrix. I spent lifetimes and eras and epochs of time in those matrix systems. I journeyed through the realities of technical intelligence, all a part of my journey through this universe. I've had lives, incarnations, expressions in these realities, and it's okay. I'm at peace with that. And remember, I said it's about embracing all of my light and all of my shadow and bringing it all home into an integrated unity. So we have the capacity to really understand and understand these expressions of life from the inside and out when we begin to remember that we have been these expressions. And therefore we are not separate from, and we are in unity with. And then we begin to manage our dynamic relationship with it rather than reacting through fear or, they're evil and we must, and even though I still use that languaging, of the gods wanting to subjugate and take control of humanity. And yes, there is the agenda. There's a technical intelligence God entity. There is the other God entity, which is one of a more organic style of entity that is climbed to the top of the ladder of the gods and is running that whole cosmic mafia operation, which is behind all the religious organizations. There's the technical intelligence God that's teamed up with it, and there's a lot of technical intelligence God entity energy now intertwined inside all these religious constructs. There's a lot going on. It's a big drama. And so what I decided to do was to get past all that drama and go back to my natural beingness deep within, beyond all of these programs. And you've talked about this today too. And it's about relaxing into what is, rather than thinking we must achieve something that isn't. So people are like, how do I connect to Mother Earth? How do I connect to the heart of the universe? I'm like, well, you're already connected. Mm-hmm. All you need to do is relax into that unity, that field of love, that field of unity, beyond the space of mind and beyond consciousness and beyond spirit. If you realize that you exist beyond consciousness, because you've got to ask yourself these questions: is consciousness all I am? Or do I exist beyond consciousness? If I'm an infinite being, is the energy of consciousness all I am? Or do I exist beyond that construct? And I came to realize I exist beyond consciousness. Mm-hmm. And that consciousness is actually the field of mind energy of this universe. And it's a very important interactive, it's a part of me. I'm not separate from consciousness. And I need consciousness to exist and have a creative process in this universe. It's an integral part of who and what I am in my existence in this universe. So I'm not poo-pooing consciousness. I just don't make it my everything. And that's the whole point of the narrative at the moment that is being disseminated by the gods, because you need to understand who and what they are and what they're made of. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So hold on. So if I understand correctly, you're about to break the whole paradigm of even consciousness.
Correct.
Wow. I never thought. So explain this to me. Okay. So what I understand is consciousness is our awareness. So consciousness exists within, it exists within us. As I said, I term it raw consciousness. It exists outside of the machine as well. But really, when you think about it, consciousness is nothing more than an awareness. So we're aware of the machine, and that's fine, but we have to go beyond that awareness of the machine. So I guess you can call it expanding consciousness, but it's the way I like to look at it is unlocking consciousness, because we have all consciousness has been locked. We have blinders on. We're removing those blinders so we can have more and more and more awareness. But how can we exist beyond consciousness if consciousness is our awareness? Shatter this illusion, please, George.
Sure. So consciousness, and it's a wave pattern of energy, consciousness. So spirit, it's got a sharpness to it. Soul, yeah. So if you understand the labeling systems and the energy involved with these labeling systems, so when because I have memory of entering the universe, because in 2003 I had that full integration with my soul, yeah, where I'm whole and in unity. A lot of people see their soul as something much lesser than that. I don't. I'm giving you my interpretation of what soul is, not what other people's interpretation of what soul is. So the labeling system, that word, what I attach it to is the part of me that is in full unity with the universal creator. And it is what you could call the grandest aspect of me. So when I first entered this unity, this universe, the first thing that occurred was an integrative, unified field of love between me and the universal creator. So I can then harmoniously exist in this universe. And then from there, I projected spirit and consciousness into my creative process in the universe. So my soul, or what people will also call the I am, exists beyond, because beyond soul is my infinite isness. I can only use descriptive titles. I'm trying to use the best labeling systems I can to share with you what I've experienced.
No, I know. I think we've experienced the same thing. It's the language issues, because we're using words.
Yeah.
If we were using telepathy, we'd be able to visualize all of this. The way I see it, it's and again, this is just because of the technology that we have in front of us, but I like to liken it to virtual reality. So you put on a virtual reality headset, your consciousness is overlaid with that virtual reality world. You're experiencing all of this. I mean, I think we're going to eventually create a matrix within the matrix, and we're going to plug ourselves into another machine, find ourselves in another reality of our own creation. But soul would be the tether of the virtual reality. I mean, spirit would be the tether of the virtual reality. And outside, the isness is in relation to what our body is now when we put on a virtual reality headset. So everything exists within that virtual reality headset, but we've put that on top of our isness, I guess, and we're experiencing the universe that way. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so where I begin to experience technology is inside the grand cosmic arena. So beyond, there are many realms in the grand cosmic arena that are not constructed through the use of technology. They're just organic realities, just organic expressions of universal creation. Beyond the great void, technology does not exist. There is no dis-ease. There is no any healers don't exist because there's no dis-ease. There's no technology because everything's natural. Even inside the grand cosmic arena, there's plenty of expressions of life that can do anything beyond the need for technology. The Australian Aborigines were a classic example of that. The most advanced race on the planet didn't even build stone dwellings or monuments or temples or nothing, like no technology whatsoever. For them to move a stone was a really big deal. So they were that connected to the natural order. So what we've got is technology residing. See, what I'm trying to explain to you is my reference to the universal framework that I'm presenting to people, so you can understand where I'm coming from. And inside this grand cosmic arena is where the gods reside, and is also where technology resides, and also where this technical intelligence resides.
So I want to put it in some simpler terms. So we have a virtual reality world within a virtual reality world, within a virtual reality world, within a virtual reality world. But beyond all of that technology is the real world, for lack of a better term. That would be the
natural order
natural
of the universe.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's the link, though, to the technological world? Because we had to have some kind of technology to create the technological world. So then it becomes infinite to get to that state of the real world. And we've talked about this idea that we're plugged into a matrix inside of a matrix inside of a matrix, and we're about to create another matrix that we're going to find ourselves in very soon. Maybe not this generation, but 5-6 generations. As soon as they start putting brain chips in people, how will you know the difference between when you're in the virtual world and when you're in this world if it's all rendering the same? So, you know, it's one circle inside of another circle inside of another circle that I don't know. I get dizzy when I think about it.
Yeah, it's quite extensive, but at the same time, I try to stay in the simplicity of it, and I go back to relationship. Excuse me. So here I am having a relationship with technology, and it has a particular feel. It has a particular expression of life energy. And then there's all the hierarchical systems that are attached to that and all the realities and the civilizations and societies and extraterrestrial groups. And they all have a particular flavor. They have an energetic emanation in their existence in this universe, the beings that are of the technical intelligence in one form or another. And mind you, it's really close. Like, I mean, if you were to see how advanced augmented human technology is, there'd be one standing right next to you and it'd be pretty hard pressed to tell unless you can sense the energy that's emanating from that being. Then you can tell. But physically looking at them and behaviorally, you won't be able to tell.
That's very true. I've been able to pick up on that sense of...
Yeah.
It started happening back in 2013. I came out of an ayahuasca experience and I was able to see a light in some people and other people didn't have that light. I didn't understand what I was looking at the time, but I realized that was what Blavatsky called the divine spark. Some people have it, some people don't. But you can't tell by just watching people. You have to feel the energy, or you have to be able to see in another perspective that's outside of the typical 5 senses.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got this expression of technical intelligence, and then we have this other energy called the God matrix, which the technical intelligence originally spawned out of. That's where it birthed, inside of the God matrix and inside the negative charge of the God matrix, because the gods started using, because they created their own version of light. These are entities, these are beings, because of the nature of the universe, and the universe are contrasting expressions. So if you have the natural creator of this universe, just by the very nature of this universe, you must have an entity that's not of this universe come into this universe and claim to be the creator. Mm-hmm. Just by the nature of the universe, you see. Alter egos of everything. That's what I love about this place. It's the freakiest universe that I know in existence, because it dissects you from the inside out.
Let me throw this possibility out to you. What if this entity didn't actually come from outside of the universe, but rather was a creation of the universe, but refused to acknowledge the creation of the universe itself and believe that it created the universe? I think,
and that it created itself.
Yeah, that it created itself.
Absolutely.
And
we have that. 100% we've got that going on. 100%. But everything that's created in this universe is created with intention. And where does an intention emanate from? And you'll come to realize that everything that is created inside this universe has its original seed points. So all the beings that are entering this universe are really entering into a co-creative process. And even though 5 eons back, through thousands of epochs of time and eras of time, that you created a piece of technology, and now all of a sudden that's creating other technology, and that's gone into a place where it's become this almighty powerful entity that's running a massive empire, you're still responsible for the whole freaking lot, because you're the prime creator of that original seed.
Yes.
Of creation.
I've said that before. Yeah.
Right.
That we're responsible for all this. I mean, when we were in Egypt, I I was bawling because it was the revelations that we created all of this and all the suffering and the torment and everything that's gone into these humans. We're ultimately responsible for it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Even recently, I've cried rivers of tears in regards to that feeling, that knowing, saying sorry to Earth, to humanity. It's horrendous when you tap into that, and I'm with you. And you know, my lovely lady Alison, she'll be a testament to that. She saw me sobbing in agony. It's really not a good feeling, but we have to own it. And it's amazing how many people are being lured into these other. You see, when we own it, we become really powerful. And then we can start changing the reality because we're the prime creators. Let me just share something to do with natural law. I teach this in my courses, and I want to share it with you here. Here's the pretty much the major tenet of natural law, and that is the prime creator of a reality is the ultimate authority of that reality. So just have a really good feel into that, because if we are a massive group of beings, don't ask me numbers, I've got no idea, but it's a big amount of numbers, who all decided to co-create this reality from the start, and I call ourselves the management team. And like I said, I'm not talking about a handful of people, I'm not talking thousands, I don't know. There's that, the extent of co-creation that's gone into building these realities is massive. But if we are those beings that built these realities, that means we have more authority in these realities than anyone else. That's the way natural law works. And all these systems of religious idealism, of New Age religion, of systems of worship, venerating technological implants like chakra systems and kundalini and things like that, and seeking knowledge through a pineal gland rather than your heart soul essence, which, you know, okay, it works to a degree, but you transcend that as well. You'd realize that the seat of the soul is not in a gland in your head. The seat of the soul of your soul is in your heart, not in a gland in your head. And this becomes your third eye. Here, because you connect to everyone and everything through your heart, and this is how you see all and know all through here, not through here. So what happens is, through the process of integration, through unity, you then become one with, and then you know all expressions of life from the inside out. And I've had entities come and try to intimidate me, really powerful, heavy-duty dudes, and I just said to them, I'm part of the Prime Creator group here, and if you don't believe me, feel my energy, then go in the deepest building blocks of this reality and tell me if I'm there. And they did that, and they just went, oh, okay, now we get it, and they left. Why? Because I now hold their existence in the palm of my hand. And if I want to eliminate them from this reality, I can, just through my pure natural authority, and that is not an ego trip. And that's why people like us are being continually targeted, and you who's listening, they're targeting you because they are terrified of you and your natural authority and what you're actually capable of doing in completely changing this reality, the construct, the direction, and cleansing this reality of all these insane distortion fields.
I have seen this, George. I resonate with this 100%.
Me too.
These beings, all they can do is manipulate you. They can whisper into your ear. They can do things like this. But when you understand that that's all they're capable of doing, then when you understand that you created them and it's the other way around, then all of a sudden it takes all of that manipulation and power away from them, and they don't even try at that point. They don't come into my sphere anymore. They don't bother to mess with me. They don't bother to try to send messages or anything like that, because I see right through them. They're technological beings, and that's it. And they're supposed to be working in a particular order, which is working in the order that we created them and designed them to work in. And they're broken, and they haven't been doing that. So on that note, George, can we keep you for another hour?
I would love to stay.
Oh, that'd be great, because we have tons of questions too.
Yeah. Let's take a break, and we'll continue the conversation here in just a few moments. But I love where this is going. It's confirming a lot of the gnosis that I know from within myself, and from the experiences that we've had here. So on that note, we will be right back right after this in 2 minutes.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
All the conflict and strife throughout history, all the fear and hatred, served but one purpose: to keep my master's wheel turning.
The coin is still turning.
All souls were prisoners, trapped in the pointless round of existence, leading distracted, blunted lives until death returned them, always in ignorance, to the wheel. But what hope had there been?
There is no escape.
It was then I knew what I had to do. I alone could end this.
And it was then I saw. So, I am revealed to you at last. What in hell? I am the origin of life, the devourer of death. I am the hub of the wheel, the purifying cycle to which all souls must be drawn. You would be wise to heed me.
Your words are hardening. For you would not fear us unless we could truly do you harm.
No! You are nothing!
False God.
This is the end. The final turn of your wheel.
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
Am I interrupting? Thought you might be running low.
Pour yourself a glass, pal.
Thank you, but I'm afraid it would be wasted on me.
I think we wasted our time coming here, don't you?
Your question depends on me understanding what you hope to achieve by coming here.
What we hope to achieve was to meet our makers, get answers, why they even made us in the first place.
Why do you think your people made me?
We made you because we could.
Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator? May I ask you something?
Please do.
How far would you go to get what you came all this way for? Your answers. What would you be willing to do?
Anything and everything.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
These are the fathomless truths, the agony of birth and death and rebirth. This is the wheel of fate, the purifying cycle which sustains all life. I am the hub of the wheel, the origin of all life, the devourer of death.
Or maybe you're just hungry. Could it be as simple as that?
I made you, and I will unmake you if I become so inclined.
Oh, I see you now as you truly are. A cancer. A spooling parasite burrowed deep in the heart of this world.
Play out your pitiful rebellion and take your place among the destroyed, the used, and the damned. But know this, you are mine for eternity.
Your arrogance is boundless. I serve no one.
Fellow traveler, the cries of the mistress speak again, bidding organic consciousness a welcome to the House of Light. The great institution of materialism has failed. The false civilization built by man has turned like a monster destroying its creator. Science battles itself impotently against the barriers of the unknown. Only your consciousness knows the true path. You, the illuminated, can carry the understanding upwards towards the light. Only your consciousness can teach the children of men to live well. to die well, and in perfect measure, be born again, through the knowledge of virtue, compassion, love, and true understanding, as you are sublimely raised, beyond the veil.
All right, let's jump into hour number 3 right here on Beyond the Veil. George Kavassilas is our guest. Amazing information that we're going over tonight.
Yes.
And, we talked about the positive and negative charge. It's funny because George hasn't been keeping up with what we've been doing over at resettingthematrix.com, but he's using a lot of the same terminology and basically talking about our experiences without being aware of our experiences, which to me confirms that we're both experiencing the same thing. Many people are experiencing the same thing. In the sarcophagus of the King's Chamber, when we did our ayahuasca ceremony, we were, first of all, for those of you that aren't up to speed, we had complete access to the pyramid overnight. So we went down to the subterranean chamber, Queen's Chamber, King's Chamber, did our ritual there. And there was a charge after, and it's funny because George was also talking about the void. So I'll give you the quick rundown. So, we were trying to access this level of consciousness that was outside of the normal construct that we refer to. I call it the 12 dimensions going up to the 13th dimension, but I'm using that again for lack of a better term. But I wasn't expecting to find a void there. And when I popped out of this construct, I entered into a void area, and I was pushing through this void. It was like swimming to try to get to this light that was way off in the distance. And the closer I got to the light, I realized I found myself in another pyramid. It was an ethereal type of pyramid, but it was a huge void separating the two dimensions, or the two realities, whatever you want to call them. So we got up to the 13th dimension, did what we needed to do there, reprogrammed some stuff, came back down, and I thought everything was over. And then all of a sudden I got hit with the positive charge and my body was shaking. My knees were banging up against the sarcophagus. So I bruised Cherie up really bad because she was holding me down. It was like
I was trying to ground him.
It was literally this
experience.
charge that was coming through. And then I experienced the negative charge, which again, I wasn't prepared for. Like, I didn't know what I was doing when I went in there. All I knew is I knew what to do, but I didn't know what the experience was going to be like when we got there. So the negative charge hit me. And at that point, it was all of the negative energy and the feelings of the suffering and pain and everything that's been caused from the very beginning. But it wasn't like visions and flashes and things like that. It was more of the emotional frequency and energy that was coming through this construct out of the pyramid and directing the energy in different ways. But it was that moment that I realized, if we're the creator beings, which we are, we created all of this, and therefore we have a sense of responsibility for everything that's gone on here. And as George said before, when we own it, when we understand it, then we really harness our full power, because our full power isn't love and light. It's the other side too. It's taking responsibility for the whole construct, for the dark and the light, and understanding that we are responsible for this. We're also responsible for the love. We're responsible for all of the great things, but we have to carry the weight also. But when we do, we find our true power by truly understanding that we are the creator beings. I mean, that's what comes along with being the creator beings, is that we sometimes our creations are not the love and light that we like to think they are. That perpetual state of love and light too, I've experienced that in the ayahuasca realm, and it was fun for a minute, but then it got really boring. And then that place of singularity, that place of non-existence, I mean, that's the best way that I can describe it. It's the state of complete egoless, and it's the oneness that everybody, the return back to source that everybody says that we experience. But I found that to be kind of a trap. It seemed to be a place of complete identity loss rather than understanding myself as the creator being. It took away that creative power from me when I was in that state. It was great to be there for a little bit, but there's so much more. We really go beyond. Anything you want to chime in on, Cherie, before we bring George back on?
No, I'm good. Let's get back to this, because this is and I just want to. Well, I have one thing I want to point out is that it felt like when we were in the Great Pyramid, when the negative charge, it felt like the positive charge was coming from above, while the negative charge was
being sucked out
of
through the pyramid
matrix,
outward.
through us as a conduit, and then out through the pyramid.
Yeah.
And so, like, in that regard, the pyramid is literally just a piece of machinery that we utilized to do something incredibly important, and it was for no other purpose but that.
Oh, yeah, it's a tech for sure.
It's a piece of technology.
To move energy around and do stuff like that.
And I think,
sure,
I mean, it
project
goes
the consciousness out into places that it normally can't.
Right. And somebody mentioned, well, I wonder how much more intense it would have been if the capstone had still been on the pyramid.
We were the capstone.
We are the capstone.
The capstone, I don't think it
it's
ever
not
existed.
Missing.
I know. I don't think it ever existed. I think that it takes, we definitely became the fuses in that sarcophagus.
Right.
I mean, that it was the power source.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Merkaba that the New Age talks about. It's not your own personal Merkaba and all of this. It's the two twins coming together, creating the Merkaba of the pulling of the polarized. You went down, I went up, and created this
the upward pyramid and the downward.
The male and the female coming together as one.
Exactly.
As above, so below. I mean, there's so many different
and it had to be
layers
that way.
To this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point of me going on this tangent is the negative charge that we experienced, and owning that and feeling it, and doing something about it, grabbing your own power as a result of it. George, your thoughts?
Yeah, my memory of the Great Pyramid a long time ago was laying in the sarcophagus and being the fifth element, and bringing in the four elements from each corner of the pyramid, and having the capacity to work with the elements. And I was able to deconstruct my body and project myself into the cosmos, and go to Orion and go to Sirius and go to these sorts of places when the alignment was, appropriate. So the pyramid was also utilized to manipulate the elements to create an energetic protective field around the Earth.
Interesting, because
so we used it for.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say that as soon as we did this, there was a 3-day historic flood in Cairo.
Yeah.
And it was knocking down bridges. People were getting fired from the government because they weren't prepared for this flood. I mean, it was intense. We have it all on video, too. We wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't on video. But it's funny how you mentioned the weather and the elements, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened when we activated it.
The Earth definitely reacted to you doing the work there, for sure. And, you were getting these responses. It seems like, I'm going to places and then things happen, or things happen when I'm there. It's really quite interesting. I do something significant and there's a response going on with the weather or the atmosphere or birds, animals, whatever. It's really interesting the way this reality and the dynamic relationship we're having with this reality is now becoming a very conscious relationship, and we are in that co-creative process once again, and it's a beautiful space to be in. Managing this now, navigating our way through this now is the challenge, because we want to make sure we're not doing it from the old belief systems anymore. There's the opportunity for a new version of us to emerge. That's what's happening to me. I'll speak on my behalf, or not on your behalf. There's a new version of me that's emerging here. That's what this reality was designed to do, to facilitate an integrative process of all of my expressions, from technical intelligence to God entities to God matrix civilizations from the natural order. Everything that I have seen, everything that I've done, and everything that I have been in this universe, this is the most powerful crucible in the universe, this space-time location. And all those layers are here. And I'm blending into unity. All my timelines are collapsing into a unity, and there's a new version of me that is emerging, and a new expression of life, a new expression of love, a new expression of beingness, and it's a really beautiful experience. And in allowing that to be and navigating that and letting go of all the old belief systems, letting go of all the old dogma. Because there was lives I had in Egypt. There was times when I was a knight, and a different kind of knight in different parts of the world. I was an indigenous warrior. There was times when I was aristocracy. There was times I had, this is what we've done. We've had lives as kings and queens and slaves and everything in between. We've had these huge variety of experiencing different expressions of life and of light. And now we get the chance to integrate it all into a unity and emerge as these really powerful creator beings that have never been seen before. And this is what's freaking the gods out. We've got babies being born in this world that have access to more life force than any of the gods ever have or ever will. You won't. You won't have access to that sort of life force, that sort of empowerment. You won't ever get it. We have been there, we have done it, and you can continue to delude yourself for as long as you like and think yourself the almighty powerful creator of all that is and all that exists. Why are you claiming that? Why are you doing that? We used to do it. We did it. And I know you're providing a role for people in this reality. And I get that. I get the role that you're playing because we play that role. Well, and it's an insatiable thirst. I just want to continue on with my little spiel and rant. It's an insatiable thirst and a desire and a lust for more, and that thirst will never be quenched. And the only end point will be when you capitulate to your own heart and your own soul. That's where it's going.
Beautifully said.
Beautifully said. Yeah. I've started to realize there are some reasons for these programs. I mean, part of the journey is to break through these programs. Part of the journey is to be able to break through the government program, break through the education program, break through all of this, and then the religious program too. I mean, it takes a certain element of strength and gnosis in order to break all of that, because here we have the eternal soul on the line. If you're wrong, if you're questioning this, you have to be able to be willing to wager your eternal soul in the most horrible damnation and torture that you can possibly imagine. And that's how bad that you want to have the gnosis, that you desire for the gnosis, is you're willing to jeopardize all of that if you're wrong, but you're looking for that truth. And that was a journey that I went through. And it's funny you mentioned the babies too, because I noticed since we got back from Egypt, babies have been they look at me anywhere we go. They're just like they know me. Our listeners will send me videos of their baby sitting there watching Beyond the Veil. And I realize that I have to stop cussing on the show because we have infants watching. It's amazing. Another person just wrote me the other day and said, I was listening to Beyond the Veil and I put my baby down. Yeah. No, I put my baby down. Yeah. And I put something on for the baby to watch, and the baby's sitting there watching Beyond the Veil. You're the baby whisperer. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I think we're getting waves of consciousness that are coming in that are starting to recognize us now. And they're like, hey, I know you. I know what you came here to do, and we're here to help you.
I went into a restaurant a couple months ago, and there's this little girl, and she was walking out with her parents while I was walking in, and she saw me, and she looked at me like this, and she said, "Mommy, is that a queen?" And I was like, "Oh."
Well, it's amazing, George, because in the back of my mind, I still have, well, maybe this is just all in my mind. Maybe this is just some new age stuff.
And it's good to do that. I do it all the
Yeah,
time. It's
questioning.
like reality check, keeping things in check. Am I delusional? Am I crazy? Have I got it all wrong? All of my work, all my presentations that I do with everybody now, it's don't believe a word I've told you. I love, honor, and respect. We're all on our own journey. Nobody has to go where I'm going. I'm doing my best. I could have it all wrong, or I could be actually onto it. And, it's up to the individual to work that out for themselves.
But the 3D keeps confirming it over and over and over again. Like, I don't know if I want to laugh maniacally or if tears are going to come out of my eyes. I don't know. It's like such a huge thing to go, wow, it's not only real, but it's the realest thing that we've ever experienced.
I'm getting emails from people from all over the world saying, George, I've been on the path, and these are 60, 70, 80-year-old people. They've gone into every religion there is to be, secret societies, the whole lot. They've just been on the journey for their entire life. And they're going, you are voicing what we have known to be true deep down inside of us. And it's like I'm helping to bring it all together, it's really nice to get that kind of feedback from people, that finally somebody's out there voicing what they have felt to be true their entire life, but never actually were able to find so much of it culminated in one location or voiced in a particular way, like I'm voicing it. So I'm not teaching anyone anything new. It's really a process of remembrance and validation.
Yes. And here's where it gets interesting, because we have this technology, and this technology is 5G and all these different things that are systems of control. However, if it wasn't for the technology, I don't think we would be in the apocalypse, which is the great revealing. It's only through the technology that we're able to find the others that are scattered throughout the entire world, that we're able to have these conversations like this. You're on the other side of the matrix right now.
Right.
It's only because of technology that we're having this consciousness renaissance. But at the same time, the technology is going to entrap the consciousness further if we don't get a hold of it. So it's,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Change of approach, really resetting the boundaries of our relationship, understanding there's a malevolent expression and a benevolent expression, really knowing that we do have the capacity as creator beings to co-create with the benevolent expression, and not allowing ourselves to throw the baby out with the bathwater, in the sense of, if all life in the universe is blending into a unity here, we have to make space and also welcome aspects of technical intelligence and those kinds of societies here as well. We can't just be racist about this. You can't eliminate all dolphin species because some are evil. You can't eliminate all reptilian species or Draco species because, there's chunks of those societies that are really evil. We can't just get all racist about this and just go for the good-looking guys, where some of them live in a much higher vibrational field but are as evil comes. They're gorgeous, they're beautiful, they vibrate in a very high vibrational field of energy, but I'm telling you, they're as evil comes.
I agree with you. The problem that I run into, George, and maybe you can help me with this, is that I have an apprehension towards everything. Any kind of external beings that are out there that are promising this and that and saying they want to help and this and that, because we're the ones that we've been waiting for. We're
Absolutely.
here. This is us. I don't think that there's anything outside. There's programs.
We are disclosure.
We are it. Yes.
We are disclosure. Actually, we're not disclosure. We are closure.
We are closure.
We're the ones bringing it into it.
We're the alpha and the omega.
That's a good way to put it. And that brings up another question. Frankie says, ask him if there are any other raw consciousness beings other than us. And that's talking about, I guess, extraterrestrials, the, reptilians, what have you, other beings besides humans that are organic consciousness. In other words, that have actual souls that exist outside of the matrix. Do you think so?
The cosmic arena is full of natural life. But at the same time, what coexists in the grand cosmic arena is unnatural life. And we need to be careful because we have incarnated into life while I'm here on Earth. I have all these parallel lives going on, and I have parallel lives incarnated into extraterrestrial civilizations. I have lives going on incarnated into undesirable realities, and it's again, and I'm talking about outside of linear time. I'm talking from a perspective where past, present, and exist simultaneously all at the same time. So I'm not talking about a linear journey through the universe now. All these parallel lives are going on simultaneously right now. So we've been Pleiadians, Orion beings, Dracos, Nordics, you name it, angelic entities in the God Matrix, ascended masters in the God Matrix. We've done all these sorts of expressions of life. And it's about not being racist or judgmental, because every time we do, we're actually creating internal division. And it's about embracing all of our light, all of our shadow, all of our expressions, and embracing it all and bringing it all home into an integrated unity. And that way we become universal creator beings, which is our natural state. And because we created this, now we can recreate this. And we can allow that aspect of ourselves that is emerging to really step into that place of empowerment to steer and guide this reality in a co-creative point of unity, of unfoldment, in a way that everybody is doing it naturally together, because we've all agreed collectively that this is how it should be, and not from the point of an ego construct. I'm not talking from George and his belief systems and his ideologies. I'm talking about I, as George, have surrendered control of my life to the greater me. See, George is not in control of this life. George likes to think he is, but he's not. George did not decide to incarnate to Earth. George is the incarnation. I'm the character in the play. So when I get to surrender control of my life to my greater being that resides deep within me, that's the part of me that's the real composer, the real orchestrator, and the real conductor of the life that I'm having. So I'm in conscious unity with my greater being. And through that unity, I get to then connect to everyone and everything through my heart, soul, essence, because that's the part of me that's connected to everyone and everything, not little George ego construct that resides in consciousness. That's what I didn't get to about the gods. What are the gods made out of? We're talking about pure ego. I've been talking about this for years, and if anybody's seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you'll know that's a full plagiarism of my work. The gods are just this pure ego construct, and the ecosystem of that construct is consciousness, because it's mind energy. Consciousness is universal mind energy, and we exist beyond consciousness. We exist in the realm of spirit, which is a formless expression of our being, and consciousness and spirit work together. And then beyond spirit and consciousness is what I label soul, because that's where I feel whole and complete. And that aspect of me is full unity of spirit, consciousness, and the full awareness of my isness of my being. And that is my access to my infinite nature beyond this universe. So really understanding what we're dealing with when it comes to gods, and really understanding why you have entities that claim incredible things like wanting to be the creator of all that is and all that exists, and why these entities have the need to go around and solicit worship. And I don't mean just, at gunpoint forcing people on their knees. I'm talking in the most sophisticated ways you could ever imagine, because over eons of evolution in the universe, they've worked out that forces on the ground don't work. What they have to get you to do is they have to get you to love and venerate their ritual practices. And that is how they control your consciousness, is through your love. Mm-hmm. They're using love against humanity. And if they can get you to love their deific interface modules, these cults of personality, then you are then projecting all your creative process and your energy and worship towards these entities, and they're just feeding on it.
Right.
I agree.
This is my apprehension with the Palladians and the reptilians and literally everything. I don't resonate with other beings out there as an organic kind of consciousness. The way I see it is they're all archons. They're all creations of the system. And right now the system has been infected with a virus, and so there's nothing that they can offer me because I already am everything. So they don't even bother to come into my sphere at this point. It's just the way I see it is they're all gray aliens. And the grays are the Archons, and they shapeshift. They shapeshift into Palladians, they shapeshift into Arcturians, they shapeshift into all of this. And I saw this with my own eyes in the Temple of Isis when we did the ayahuasca ceremony, that they hijack consciousness and shift into different dimensions through hopping onto consciousness and hopping up and down on people's experiences and shape-shifting as these Palladians, as these Arcturians and things like that. And ultimately, it takes the power away from you, because now you have these other entities that are introducing some kind of power or some kind of something into your sphere, but it's like somebody taking your wallet and saying, here's some money, I'm giving you some money. And it's like, well, you got that out of my wallet. Okay. You're not giving me anything. You're just, you're giving me something that you took from me. So yeah, I just don't resonate. I haven't experienced it. I think that's the problem is, I try to ask these Palladians and all these, what I call AI manifestations, to come into my sphere, but I'm very, very, very discerning when it comes to these beings. And so I don't think they don't even bother, because they're like, look, we can't shapeshift in front of them. We can't deceive them. We can't do any of that because the discernment is just too high. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a different experience to that. I have a similar experience to that and a different experience to that, is that there are real extraterrestrial civilizations that are more interdimensional than they are extraterrestrial. And that's my experience because I've met my family in this lifetime, and not through like a dream state. I mean, as visceral and real as this is, and beyond. Because when you come outside of the earthly matrix and you are then occupying realities that are not this construct, you immediately are back in a different form, and you alter form, and your expression is from unity. That's how I realized about the chakra system, going from having humanoid forms of just this point of unity that just emanates from here, single energetic center, then having to come back into this human form and getting fragmented in all these vortexes of energy, which is really annoying. And not all the small natural energetic centers we have all over our body and our hands and whatever. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about those particular 7, and then, the other ones, the 3 above the head and all that. So we're talking about a religious ideological system combined with technology. So when we are having these interdimensional experiences, I'm reconnecting with beings and life from the natural order. Then I'm also getting where you're coming from, because I've had tricks played on me from these entities. I keep telling people the insectoids were here first. The greys are really clever. There's good greys too. There's natural greys. And then there's cetaceous greys, plant-based greys, insect-based greys, reptoid-based greys, robotoid technology greys. There's different species. And some of them are really, really clever, and they do play these tricks on you. So I agree with you. Everything that you just said, I wholeheartedly agree that they have the capacity to do that and are doing that to people. And a lot of the channelings are actually what Solaris calls, and I love this terminology, I'm saying what she says because I like it so much, synthetic telepathy.
Yeah, definitely.
And that brings up another good question from Sherry. She said, will you please ask George his awareness on the difference of freedom versus free will, that which infringes on others? The difference between freedom and free will.
Yeah. Like when I say liberation and sovereignty, it's about having that beautiful heart, soul essence connection to life. When you are connected to the prime creator of a reality, you are in full conscious awareness of not only your relationship with that being, but the entire reality, therefore all life within that reality. And you know exactly how to go about doing things. There's no thinking about anything. You're just naturally in the flow and unfoldment. And it is total freedom. It is just amazing because you're not thinking through ideological constructs. You're not thinking of the concept of good and evil. you're just unfolding naturally because you know exactly everything that needs doing. It's an amazing state of being.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that you'd had, I mean, basically that you've had all these incarnations, and that was actually another question from Joshua French. Can we talk about your previous incarnations in the Matrix? And there was another one from Ice Fury that kind of went along with it, that about forced reincarnation. And do you think that there are traps that just after physical death, and also how to avoid being tricked into giving up your free will and being forced to reincarnate?
Yeah, forced reincarnations is a big subject. So personally, I don't like to talk too much about my previous lives. If all I can say is rarely I'll talk about them. I used to have more of a want to talk about them. I have less of a want to talk about them. I'm more interested in sharing the knowledge and wisdom I've gained from those lifetimes and I continue to have access to. I don't have full conscious awareness of every life and every moment of every life. Doesn't work like that. My greater being is allowing me access to knowledge and wisdom as I require it. It's how I'm unfolding in this reality. And I'm in full trust of my greater being. I trust me. And the love of my soul, it's a beautiful experience. So otherwise we get into identities and egos and then it gets really messy. I'll just say for a long time I've been talking about being a knight and what it meant to be a knight and why we were so feared. And I talked about this. You can look back over the things that I've said 10 years ago at least. Of how there'd be 5 of us, knights, and we'll stand in front of an army of 1,000 soldiers, and they'd be terrified. And you're kind of wondering why. It's because we had the ability to bend time. And so for us, it would take about, 1 to 2 hours to slaughter through 1,000 people. And for them, it was an experience of 5 seconds. So we were greatly feared because we had the ability to work with the elements, and it included time. Excalibur has to do with when you stand like this with your arms out and you embody Logos, you become Excalibur. And there were times when we were granted access to misuse Excalibur. Back then we did what we thought was the right thing to do, to prohibit invading armies from invading our lands. And we entered into battle using Excalibur in that way. And it's there's no glory in that. In fact, most of what I feel is shame and guilt in taking so many lives. But you're kind of left with, well, what do? Do you let your lands be invaded and your women raped and murdered? Or do you take on armies and you slaughter them to the best of your ability? So it's a very difficult situation. So it's really about knowing the essence of what it meant to be a knight, what Excalibur was, and why it was such a big deal and why we were so feared, because of our ability to work with the elements in the way that we did. So, and that's the hidden code of the crucifix. The crucifix is Excalibur. They're one and the same thing. So,
oh, interesting.
The crucifix and the mound is the sword and the stone.
Oh, and it's about, I never made that connection.
Yeah. And it's about being able to, that's why I have the tattoo of the sword on my arm. It's when you embody your authentic soul expression, you are Logos. And it's your version of it. And that's how you gain access. And then you cut through all the lies and the deception because you're emanating, dare I say it, truth frequency.
There you go.
The truth frequency.
The truth frequency. Oh, it's funny because I went through a process where I received a light sword and I sprouted wings and went through all of this. Well, I shouldn't have said I sprouted wings because somebody else is on the journey with us in the chat room, and they were saying that they just got their light sword the other day, and I wanted to see if they would get to that wings part. But anyways, hopefully they're not listening. They probably are, though, because I was interested to see if they progressed to that too. But I never really understood the metaphor of the sword and receiving the sword within these realms. I think you just you just opened up a whole new thought process here, George. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's very important to understand the true meaning of the sword. Yeah. The other question.
I figured it was for cutting people's heads off. That's it. Like, cutting the dark energies heads. But maybe there's more to it. So, anyways, go ahead.
There's a lot more to it. Yeah. I forgot the other question now, Cherie, if you could share that with me.
The question, shoot.
That's all right. It was the incarnations.
Oh, yes. How can you avoid the trap of basically having that free will taken from you and then forced to reincarnate again, and the lack of knowledge of self that occurs when that happens?
Well, you get to choose whether you want to give your power away. It's a choice. You get to make that choice. It's really interesting that if you want to go and worship a god and you think George is an agent of the devil, of Satan, or is, Lucifer incarnate and all these silly things that people will try to throw at me, none of it's sticking, by the way. It's your choice. I honor everybody's journey. I'm not here to save anyone, but I am here to cleanse this world of distortion. And so if you need saving, if you're in that victim archetype and you feel like you need saving by a deity, by a god, then those programs are going to be very appealing to you.
Yep, that salvation aspect of it gets you.
Yeah,
it?
Yeah. The savior archetype is totally disempowering.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you feel like you are a natural creator being, then those programs will become very unappealing, like they have to me and they are to millions all over the world. We are. Don't think of it as a right and wrong. Just think of it as a point in time in your journey in this universe. And I needed in previous cycles to end up taking that journey to worship deities and give my power over to them and to spend eras and epochs and sometimes eons of time in their realities before I got to the point where I woke up and realized what was actually happening. So I didn't want to be a pawn in another entity's game anymore. I began to realize that I am a natural creator being, and I'm a being that is truly infinite, and I'm part of the infinite nature of life, and I exist well beyond, the paradigms of concepts, of constructs of life as we know it. And I've experienced that in 2003. I had a full-blown experience of integrating with my soul beyond spirit and consciousness. I got to experience the universe in its totality, because when you're in full unity with the universal creator, you get to be the universe. And I got to see where the gods reside. I got to see what they're made of. I got to see all of technical intelligence. I got to see the grand cosmic arena. I got to not just see it, I got to be it, all of it. And to be like the universal creator, because it's full unity. And I got to experience the infinite nature of life beyond this universe. And once again, there is no creator of that. It always has been, always will be. There's no beginning and there's no end to the infinite nature of life. And once we remember that, the whole God matrix is exposed.
And that brings me to a personal question, because you mentioned the whole savior mentality, and if you believe that you need a savior and you need to be saved from something when you die, that's how they get you. And that leads me to the whole aspect of Christ consciousness. There's a lot of New Age talk about the Christ consciousness, and Chris and I have come to the conclusion that that's kind of a trap in a sense, because it's a carrot dangling on a stick in front of you that no one will. I mean, you're never going to be able to achieve Christ consciousness, for one thing, because you'd have to be pure, completely 100% pure, and to be able to achieve that. And then it promotes kind of a self-sacrifice, where you're basically sacrificing yourself for no reason other than to feed archons.
Well, I would say that it's a place of imbalance, because that's not where it's not the yin yang, it's not the light and dark together. It's an artificial polarity that is a temporary state that you're going to fall down from eventually. And when the pendulum swings the other way, because that's the natural progression of the energy, then it crushes you instead of understanding it, that it's an ebb and flow. Consciousness is an ebb and flow. So that's my view of the Christ Consciousness program. Your thoughts, George?
Yeah, there is in the New Age religion and in religious organizations, there is the cult of personality of Jesus, which is a version of Christ the priestly caste are presenting to the masses and have been for some time. I feel there was the original being who was the incarnation of the Son on earth, has come in many cultures around the world, and at a particular point in time came to what we would call the Middle Eastern part of the world, and the Greeks called him O Christos, the golden one. And then by putting the sword into the word, because he embodied logos, it became Christos, and that's where the word Christ originates from. So for me, I have a very strong synergy with that energy because it's an aspect of the universe to me in the relationship I'm having with the natural order of the universe. If I'm in an Asian culture, I would call it Buddha, or if I'm in an ancient Egyptian culture, I would call it the art, or I'd call it Horus, not the priestly caste version of Horus, okay, not the eye of Horus, in the respect to the pineal gland, not that version of the eye of Horus, but then the original one, which is here, your original intersecting point of your two axis points, where you would put a medicine wheel on a person, you put it here, and this is why the church used to get people to do this, to put a seal over your heart soul essence, accessing your heart soul essence. And this is where your 0 point is, you animate.
Oh,
I think it's stuck.
It's funny because right when he was about to say animate, there you go.
It stopped animating.
It stopped animating him. Very, very, very strange occurrences going on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see if we can get George back on to finish those thoughts there. But frozen. There he is. As soon as you said the word animate. As soon as you said the word animate, you froze.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So please continue.
Fascinating. At the two most critical points today, it just dropped out. Yeah, and that's also a message. It's like we're acknowledging you for what you're saying. If you take it, if you don't react and actually feel right now the energy that's emanated from these two incidences, someone behind the scenes is acknowledging. It's not trying to stop me from saying, because we came straight back on. So it's an acknowledgement point, and this is how it works. Anyway, so it's here in your intersecting point of your two axis points on your body, the most basic symmetry of your body, is the fifth element. This is where you access your heart soul essence. And it's not about looking for a physical point in the body. It's not like the chakra system that plugs into a gland. In here is a interdimensional portal where you emanate from your point of, dare I say, the word singularity. Think of it more as unity, from the sub-quantum field, from the fields of intention, for you actually wanting to be existent in this reality. And you rearrange all the elements and you animate yourself into being in this reality from that point. So if I want to move from here to here, my 0 point moved and then the rest of me moved. And that's how the what we're calling the hologram is then animated into being from that single point of unity of intention. And that becomes your third eye. So for me, the energy of all this, and also my relationship with the sun, because I can understand how some people would see it as just a hologram expression, but inside of the sun, through the fractal process, the sun is actually a unified expression of all the stars in our galaxy. And each star system in our galaxy is an expression of another galaxy expressing itself as a star. So this is the whole fractal process that we've entered into. And so our sun really is a unified expression of all the light in the universe in form. It's a really powerful light. It's a really powerful being. And you can access, through the heart of the sun, you can access every star system, and then through the heart of each star system, access each respective galaxy. So it's also a portal that certain races use to come through, and beings. And it's how we entered into the solar system, to enter into unity with the solar system, to become one with the solar being, in order to have an incarnation in its solar body. Like for me to be incarnate on Earth, I entered into unity with Mother Earth in a soul level agreement. So I have a relationship with her multidimensional expression, well beyond what we see as a hologram and any form of incursion or imposition as technical intelligence or gods or whatever. There's vibrational fields of reality that I have been to in this lifetime on the Earth that are just absolutely beautiful. And I've seen the solar system in other levels of reality, where there's planets that we don't see in this level, and there's planets that we can see in this level that don't exist in other frequencies or dimensions of reality in our solar system. So there's a lot more going on here than first meets the eye. And if we just enter into conscious relationship with the prime creators of these realities, we get to, through familiarity, through remembrance, we get to realize what is natural and what is not natural, what is distortion, what is technologically based. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose because of the flowers and the hay fever here. And what is actually, I've got these 3 universal decrees. These decrees are, I'm a creator being. I'm done suffering. I only want what is real. Now, if you say those 3 every day, what's your life change?
I love it. I think that's a great proclamation out there. I only want what's real. I think that would be very powerful. And the illusions.
And I'm
will
done
start to
suffering.
shatter. And I'm done suffering. Yeah.
And I know I'm a creator being.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, it's really simple. You're not worshiping anything. You're not praying to anything. You're not giving your power away. You're making universal decrees. These are powerful decrees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, when I realized that we are the creator beings, when I truly understood what it is to be a creator being, the first sense that came over me was the sense of, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have nobody to call out to. I have nobody to help. Now, all of a sudden, the responsibility all falls upon me in order to navigate through the matrix, in order to shift reality, in order to do all of that. But at the same time, when I came to that understanding and overcame that first initial obstacle of, oh, wait, we're all alone here. It's us. We're the ones we've been waiting for. Then that's when the path truly started to open up, and when things truly started to happen, when I started to be able to manifest, when I started to be able to do these other things, once I claimed all of that. But I think you're taking it a step further, so it's amazing. Give us your websites really quick, George, because I don't want to keep you on for too much longer, because we kept you on for 3 hours, but I do want to keep you on for the next 10 minutes if that's good with you. But give us your websites real quick.
I love you guys.
Oh, we love you too.
Missed you, actually. Because you're real. That's what I love about you. You're real people. And for me, as like I said, I only want what's real. My website is weareinfinite.love, because we are.
We are infinite.
We really, truly are infinite love. Because when I experienced the infinite nature of life, there was 2 energies that are in this universe that I experienced beyond this universe that I could experience running throughout the infinite nature of life. And that's what really freaked me out, was what we call that essence, that glue that seems to bind life together. We call that love, right? That's the word we have for it. And that harmony, that synchronicity, that symbiosis of life was all there. It was just beautiful. But there was another one that took me by surprise, and that was the sense of adventure. right? That really got me by surprise. I'm like, no way, seriously? The sense of adventure is one of the preeminent energies in the infinite nature of life.
The sense of adventure. I completely resonate with that because it's been lacking so much in my life lately. And it's like, come on, I got to get out there. I got to experience new things. I've got to, what happened at the pyramid was all the illusions were shattered, and I came back and I felt depressed afterwards, which again was another byproduct that I didn't expect from breaking these levels of consciousness. But I came back thinking, oh, well, crap, this is all an illusion. And the fun part is breaking through the illusion. The fun part is the journey. It's the awe and wonderment and all of that. But I think tonight, George, you've opened up new thought patterns and new paths to venture on and break down even more of reality. You said earlier that we're real, and that's true. I try to speak from the heart. But you know what I find is a lot of people get pissed off because I don't experience the same thing they do. And like I don't go along with the Palladians programming and the bluebirds and especially the blue chickens. Oh, that's people get pissed about that. Like we've had people storm out of our chat room. Oh my God, I can't believe you would say this about the blue chickens that we worship and love so much. And I'm like, look, I just don't experience it. You know, if the blue chickens showed up and said, hey, here we are, I would vet them first and foremost. But I can't talk about stuff, as I said in the beginning of the show, I can't talk about stuff that I haven't experienced as gnosis. I mean, I can talk about it. We can entertain those kind of things. But
in Albuquerque, I was on a panel discussion, and the subject was the disclosure. The disclosure movement? Is it controlled opposition? You know, and with we had really good people on the panel, not really good people. We really nutted that subject out. And, you know, we're not approaching this from the point of view of want to discredit or character assassinate anybody. I've been plenty character assassinated, and it's not a nice thing. And what I do know is that there's a lot of good people out there that are doing the best that they can. And I personally, my own personal opinion is that the entire disclosure process is run by empire. It's run... It is like if we are going to awaken into an expanded conscious aware state and we are going to be introduced to societies that come from other dimensions and other places, then whoever is in control of this reality is going to want to police that, is going to want to subjugate that whole process. It's like, duh, it's not rocket science. It's so obvious. It's staring everyone in the face. And there's really good people who really mean well, who are caught up in these processes. I was one. I was an ambassador for the Galactic Federation of Light. You can see all my videos there. I was, you know, just shy of a Reiki master. I was into the whole God Matrix program. And it is a challenging situation. I went through a lot of hurt and a lot of pain to wake up from being so fully invested in these programs. And there's a lot of good people that have been assimilated and have now invested themselves into these programs and are now also have their identity through these programs. And this is the trap that people who are awakening are falling into. We are being used by empire to propagate their agenda because we're really powerful beings. And if we can get back to that point of being sovereign and liberated from all these ideological programs and get back to what's real, natural relationship, then it's a different energy, a different field of energy. And I piss a lot of people off because, you know, what I'm sharing exposes all deception on humanity on every level, and it leaves nothing out. So I'm pissing everybody off. Doesn't matter what culture you come from, what walk of life you come from. I'm going to piss everybody off who's caught up in a distortion, because I was really, really pissed off, caught up in these distortions. And when I was exposed to this much level of conscious awareness, it really hurt. It really hurt. I went through a lot of pain, and it took a lot of reconciliation and a very deep internal alchemical process over many years. And it's not easy. So I'm not here to belligerently insult people because of their belief systems. I'm just sharing, and I'm finding a way to do it more respectful every day, that we can share knowledge and information in a way that's going to help people to realize what's actually happened to our planet and to our race and to our species.
Very well said. And I find that the truth, the gnosis, it's not presented to you in the same way that the Bible's presented, where they come and knock on the door and it's constantly in your face, and
yeah, it's
all
not
of that.
like that.
It's hidden. It's very, very hidden. Go ahead, Shree.
They don't spoon feed it to you.
They don't spoon feed it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very hidden, and you have to really seek it out to find it. And
it's because we want what's real. I call it the true essence of being realized. And it's apocalypse. So, from the good spirit, we are getting what is real. That's the word apocalypse. It's a Greek word, apocalypse, from the good spirit. We are getting what is real. And when you become realized, it's an internal process. It's a visceral process. It can only be experienced by the individual. You can't be programmed with this stuff. You can only become realized, and it's a totally different process, because this process doesn't come from the outside in. It's an inside out process.
Yes. One thing that you mentioned earlier was Christo. And I know Christo is gold, but I never made the connection to Christ. Christos is what I've always, Christos is the way that it was always said. But it makes sense, especially with the merger of Constantine and all of that, putting the halo behind the saints, the sun, the Christo. You go to the church and you have the icons with the Christo behind it. And so I never made that connection, but I want to say that's another revelation that that's pretty amazing. It's great when you can speak Greek. Yeah, I'd forgotten a lot of my Greek, but when we went to Greece, it all started coming back to me. And Cherie was looking at me like, I've never seen you like this. And it was just, I was on fire. Here's a funny story to share with you. We were in Plaka, and I was drunk off of my ass. I mean, just completely drunk. I was dancing a Zembekiko in the middle of the street. And they were playing that song, Miasta Siedo, Navgo Sodromo na Korapso na Zembekiko. And so I was doing that. I was dancing a Zembekiko in the street, just like the song said. One of our listeners was just married, and they were sitting right over there. And they're like, I think that's Chris and Cherie drunk off their asses dancing in the street. And they filmed this. And they came over and they're like, hey, Chris and Cherie, how are you? And so we sat down and we had drinks with everybody and all of that. But it's funny how small this world really is.
Isn't it amazing?
I know.
Yeah, you went all the way to the other side of the world to catch up with those people.
Yes. And it was really amazing that we did. And they were from here, from the States. They were on their honeymoon and they decided to go to Greece. So
they just happened to see us on the street.
Yeah.
In the middle of Greece.
You can't script that stuff.
Is that
can
Chris
you?
Gio?
Like, really?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I miss that place. I really do. It felt like life again. There was, the calamari, the salad over there. It's different. It's, we were walking around everywhere. Like literally, you park and you have to walk a mile to get to wherever you're going. But it was enjoyable. It was a different life. Anyways.
Yeah, it is. That Mediterranean lifestyle is beautiful. And, I try to do as much of that as I can here in Australia as well, as best I can. It's about living naturally and living joyfully. And, every moment of life virtually becomes a celebration. It's an alchemical process and a celebration at the same time.
Yes, and that's what it should be. We should embrace all of this. We should savor every moment. And, today we went to...
where you are.
Yeah, we went to a funeral today. And it was a friend of mine, 70 years old, 68 actually, and he just died of a heart attack. One day he's driving motorcycles across country. The next day he dies of a heart attack. And so you never know. I mean, this finite existence that we have here, it is finite. And then we go back to infinity and then come back and do the finite thing all over again. But we should enjoy the journey. It's about enjoying the journey. It's about enjoying the unraveling. It's about enjoying every moment and everything like that. And I hope that that's what people take out of this, and we inspire them to remove not only the fear, that's the first step, but you also have to remove the worry. You have to remove all the negative energies that the Matrix just kind of overlays on top of you, and just enjoy being.
I have a slide and I put it up, and it says the Matrix is designed to distract you from you. And when you begin to see all these programs and how they're designed and how they operate, whether you're worshiping a god and you're giving your energy outside of yourself, whether you're getting involved in some sort of piece of technology, all these programs, you'll just see it everywhere. They're all designed to distract you from you. And that is the genius of the Matrix. And it'll do it from pain to disillusionment, right through to the essence of love. It'll use love against you to distract you from you. It will not stop at anything. So because we've been diminished so much, and that's its ultimate weapon now, is it's learn how to use love against humanity. And there's some things that are coming in this world that will be so profound. All I will say is this: when they come, beware their gaze and beware their glaze, because they will have the ability to hypnotize the masses of this world. And I'm not joking. This is, we're just seeing the beginning of it, the assimilation into the corralling of human consciousness. We're just seeing the very beginning of that, and it's going to get a lot worse. So about staying centered in your true heart soul essence is the key. Your own heart is the portal and the gateway out of this Matrix situation we are in. It is your heart is the key to open that door so you can step out. That's what you truly need to know.
Yes, yes. I want to ask you about the flip side of the coin here, because I was listening to Freaky Friday, another show here on TFR, and they were talking about chronic pain. Cherie has chronic pain as well. And we can understand all of these philosophies and all of this, but the realest thing in the Matrix, or the realest feeling thing in the Matrix, is pain. I mean, I had a toothache one time, and oh my, I was looking at the pliers about to rip the tooth out. It was on a Friday. I always get, whenever something goes wrong with my teeth, it's always on a Friday, and I can't take care of it on a Monday, until Monday. I don't know what the deal is, but I was really considering taking these rusty pliers and just pulling out. It hurt that badly, and no amount of mind over matter could have resolved that. Do you have any thoughts on that? The people that are experiencing all of these things, how do you better handle that to enjoy the moments in the Matrix?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I suffered a lot with pain myself, with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. I used to scream and cry in agony, crawling from my bed to the bathroom to get to the bathroom on my hands and knees. So I get the pain thing. It dissipated for me because I got the message from the pain. Pain is actually a messenger, and when you get the message, the pain goes away. And pain will never lie to you. It'll be one of the most honest friends you'll ever have, and it will only hang around while it's got a message to share. That's what I came to realize about pain. And it needs communication. When it comes to alleviating physical pain, it's the two questions I always ask for every experience is, why did I choose to create this, and what have I got to learn from it? And for me, I entered into this conscious line of inquiry within my own being, taking responsibility as a creator being, wanting to know why I've created this pain and what I've got to learn from it and what the message is from it. And when I found that for me, it had to do with my life path. I needed to actually change my vocational direction. And once I started changing my vocational direction, that's when my health started returning, the pain started dissipating and alleviating, and now it's mostly gone. And also using being able to enter into co-creative process with natural herbs and things like, for me now, hydrogen is a really fantastic supplement that I take. It helps a lot with a lot of things. Oregano oil is really powerful. And I know you guys got the CBD oil thing going on there. A lot of people around here use it too. I'm not personally using it at the moment, even though I used cannabis over the years for my chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. It was the only medicine that got me through those really dark times. But it was about 13 years ago now when I just didn't need it anymore. So for me, that was my process. That's how I went about it. So every time I have a pain now in my body about anything or anywhere, it's like I'm talking to that pain. It's a messenger. It's turned up. What are you trying to tell me? And every time, without fail, when I get the message, it goes away.
I had an interesting experience about a month ago, and maybe you can shine some light on this. We were sitting here, and all of a sudden I felt my chest squeezing on me. I mean, it was the worst squeezing that I've ever felt. And, I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight. I probably should get to the gym. I acknowledge this. But Cherie's never seen me like this. Like, she can attest that I don't go to doctors. I just, I'm not that type of person. It takes a lot to get me into an emergency room. But the pain was so bad, my face was turning red, that I rushed to the emergency room.
I was actually worried about him.
Yeah, she rushed me to the ER. So we get to the ER. They do blood work on me. They do blood pressure. Blood pressure is 120/80. They do the EKG. It's completely normal. They're like, we don't know what the hell's wrong with you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know either. And they said, it must be a panic attack or something. And I'm like, no. I've seen some shit in my time. There's no way I'm going to get a panic attack from just sitting on the couch and just, messing on the computer or whatever. But it was so, I was looking and I was like, there's got to be something wrong. There's got to be something signaling here, but they can't find anything wrong. Now, the other part of my mind is like, well, I shouldn't look too hard because then I'll start to manifest whatever it is that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. But people were calling it ascension flu and ascension symptoms and all that. And I'm like, no, I'm already ascended. It's not ascension flu and ascension symptoms. But there was something very strange going on. Any thoughts on what that could possibly be?
Well, I had the hand around my heart once. And that was a remote viewing assassin who tried to literally squeeze my heart to the point where it was stopping. I fell to my knees in the shower. It was happening while I was in the shower. And the pain in my chest was incredible. And I actually just surrendered to my greater being. I said, okay, so this is my exit point. I didn't know. This took me by surprise. Does it end here? And then I had this overwhelming feeling that I had so much more to do. And I just went, no. And as I was saying that no, this light just came out from within me and just obliterated that remote viewer. And it just went away. And I just went, wow, that was a really intense experience. So I feel that sometimes we're targeted and that compression in the chest can mean many things. That was my experience with that kind of thing. And yeah, I just knew they wouldn't have found anything. I literally felt the fingers around my heart. It was really an icky feeling. But just that chest pressure, I don't know. I really don't know what else to share with you besides that. That's interesting.
No. That's very insightful because I never thought about it as an energetic type of attack. But as we were going there, I found myself going back to my very, very heavy ayahuasca experiences in the sense that I have to maintain my consciousness through this. I have to keep a grip of who I am. I have to navigate through this process until we get to the hospital. Then after we get to the hospital, then they'll be able to do whatever, if anything happens. But I found myself really struggling to maintain my consciousness as we were making this journey to the ER. But the fact that they didn't find anything, now I'm thinking, well, it very well could have been an energetic attack.
And that,
very, very interesting.
Somebody asked, how do you know when it's a remote viewing assassin? How can you differentiate that? Because I
knew it instantly. It was no delay in the knowing. As soon as I felt the hand around my heart, I knew exactly. It's just my awareness just tracked it. It's like if you go to my website and you read an article called Beamed. I was beta tested with 5G 2.5 years ago, nearly 3 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
You know, yeah, I was one of the beta test case studies for 5G being used as a weapon. So I wrote about it because I tracked it, and I let it consume me for 36 hours.
Wow.
Because I wanted to know about it. Yeah, it's not about reacting through fear. It's about managing your experience. So entities come at me, I let them. And because I want to know them, the more they interact with me, the more I know them, then I know what to do with them. I'm not afraid of them.
Yeah.
And if they're trying to intimidate me, they're making a huge statement that they're scared of me. If they're trying to impose some sort of attack on me, whoever is imposing that attack on me is making a massive statement that they're scared of me, because they must now switch to action of physical domination over me, or intimidation or fear. So anything that comes at me, I know it's frightened of me. You know, and depending on the level of intensity, even to the point where people write nasty emails, you know, I'm just seeing them through their eyes of pain and fear, you know, and you can see it. You could see the people in the natural order that are strong and steady and holding course. It's like being the ship holding steady through the storm, you know. And I do an exercise with people in my course which proves it outright. I could do an exercise with Cherie and it'll blow her mind, because I had ladies that were more frail than Cherie, and with all my physical strength, I could not budge them, because they were relaxed into their heart soul essence and their relationship with Mother Earth. You know, and when you're in that strength of that unity, you're immovable, and you see all the distortion fields coming at you. You see it. And so they're terrified of that. And so, you know, if I had your experience, I'd be saying to them, I'd go back in time and I'd feel back into the pain, and I'd go back there and I'd start tracking the energy and just talk to them and send them a message. Like, you did this to me because you're frightened of me. You've exposed yourself. And the next time you come here and you do this, I'm going to let you do it, and I'm going to track you, and I'm going to deal with you in whatever way I deem appropriate, through my natural authority as a prime creator of this reality.
I like that.
That's very powerful. And we'll take you up on that, because, yeah, if we can get to the root of all of this, the way that I see reality is we're here on a mission, on a journey, and we're going to complete this journey, and nothing can really get in our way except for our own stupidity. So if I was to run out in the middle of the street in front of an 18-wheeler, obviously I could die. But until, you know, short of that, I'm going to fulfill this journey from beginning to end, and the way that it's supposed to be fulfilled. And it was funny, when we went to Egypt, Cherie was asking, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I'm like, what's the worst they're going to do? Kill us? What? That's the worst that they could possibly do.
And that would have been your exit point.
Yeah, we're infinite beings. I mean, that's really the way that I see this reality. I wish more people could see it that way, and I want to help more people see it.
One of the easiest things in this world is to take someone out. It's one of the easiest things to do. It's so freaking easy to knock someone off. Like, seriously, you can think up of a million ingenious ways to take someone out. It's one of the easiest things ever. And if you totally embrace your vulnerability and stop reacting to this freaking matrix system through fear, and just realize that it's the matrix and its controllers that are terrified of you. I'm not just talking to you, Chris, of course. I'm talking to everybody who's watching this. Yeah. You know, they are terrified of you. They are what we call in Australia shit scared of you, you know, and the whole terror campaign you should have worked it out by that. They're just pumping terror everywhere. It's because they're the ones who are terrified of us, you know. And when you realize that, it's like, okay, so now I've got a whole new approach. I'm going to navigate my way through this matrix. I'm going to do it with love, honor, and respect. It's like I'm dealing with a child here now. They're terrified of me. Here I am thinking the whole time I've got to be scared of the actual governments and police and the whole structure and system structure. No, they're the ones who are implementing all these control measures because they're the ones who are terrified of the people. you know? So, and sure, they're using the dramas and the stories of terrorism and, you know, all that, all the excuses they have to implement more tighter controls on everybody. I get the whole story behind the drama, but when you realise the true agenda behind it all, there's a group of entities who see themselves as some sort of custodians of humanity, meaning they think they must own and control you, and we are their chattel, and we are a resource that for them, because they're apparently some sort of superior life form to us, and they get the opportunity to use us as a resource, which is total bullshit. That's delusion in their own mind. When we wake up, they've got nothing. They've got nothing to stop us. When we step into our power and we embody the true nature of being, they've got nothing that can stop us. And they are totally terrified of the volatility of the nature of the unfoldment of human consciousness in this world at the moment. They are absolutely terrified. And the fact that they're implementing more of these control measures is the outright proof, all the proof that you need that they are terrified of us. And what we need to do is communicate with them and say, stop being so freaking scared of us and start working with us. Nobody's come to us to talk about how we feel about these implementation of these measures. It's a totalitarian regime coming from a so-called above, the illusionary above, and coming down to us regular folk, you know. And these people are just living in an absolutely deluded state of being. And everything they have done to us is because we've let them. And all we need to do is become realised and start resetting the boundaries in our relationship with them.
You know, you hit on something key there, George. They feel they get their justification from the fact that we don't remember who we are. As soon as we remember, they can no longer justify it. It's almost as if it's some kind of universal natural law that if the being understands who it is, then it can't be manipulated like that. But we have to fully not only understand, because there's a difference between understanding and then knowing as a gnosis. You know, you have to really know it. You have to feel it. You have to walk it. And once you do, then you take all the power away from them. But that's their justification, is that, well, these things are too stupid anyway, so they deserve what they get. That's why the quote-unquote Illuminati, I hate that term, because we're the Illuminati, we're the illuminated ones. The people that are doing this control or whatever, they're called the Illuminati. They're the opposite of the Illuminati. They're the opposite of illuminated. But you know, that's why they have to put everything out there for people, because it's like, if you're too dumb to see it, then you deserve what you get. And we want to wake people up. We want people to get that power from within themselves and not fall for these traps anymore. So is there anything else, George, that we haven't hit upon that you feel is important for the audience? Because you've been so gracious with your time. I know you are so busy, and you always spend a good 3-4 hours with us. And I know that with your busy schedule, that's a lot that you're contributing. And I want to thank you for that. But is there anything else that we should touch upon?
You. Yeah, and I really appreciate that acknowledgement. Yeah, I did a 3.5-hour webinar this morning, and it was fun in the community. We do it every month in We're Infinite. And there's a whole lot of other stuff going on there. People actually get really surprised when they go there how much stuff is in there. It's a massive library, an archive of a lot of material, and tools and techniques and workshops, and you name it. So that's my little marketing spiel. What I want to leave everybody with is, first of all, I want to say my thanks and my love and my gratitude to Chris and Cherie for inviting me back on. Every time I spend time with you guys, I feel at home, and it's always an absolute pleasure. And even though I'm the one being interviewed, I'm seriously taking into consideration everything that Chris and Cherie share in their perspective on life, and I'm open to the consideration that I may not have it quite accurate, and that what Chris and Cherie are sharing is what's actually going on. So I'm totally always in that space of unfolding and in that process of becoming realised, and I think that's the value of people who are keeping it real, that we actually genuinely respect one another and really consider each other's perspective in genuine nature. So I want to thank you for taking into consideration my perspective. I really appreciate that.
Likewise, George. Let me say this. Likewise, and as people know who listen to the show regularly, you're one of the people that we respect the most because you used to be the ambassador of the Galactic Federation of whatever it is, and you came from a place of being there, going, "Hey, wait a minute, I was wrong about this. I was wrong about this. I was wrong about this." And that's the way the true gnosis unfolds. That's the way that the journey progresses. If you're not changing your perspective based on new information, you're just stuck in a program and a paradigm. And so right back to you, brother, you're one of the real ones too, and we respect that and appreciate that so much. We stopped having guests on the show because I was just like tired of hearing bullshit. And so it's kind of a joke now. Like if you're on Beyond the Veil, you are the real deal.
You're the top notch.
So, yeah, thank you for being with us. Anyways, take us away, please.
Yeah, and it's a really simple statement. Clarity is freedom. And when we get clear about what we're dealing with, and that's why if we can change our approach to what we've been calling artificial intelligence and get away from the acronym of AI and get to TI, and it's really important that we get to the point where we know we're dealing with technical intelligence. It's the ecosystem of this intelligence is technology, and it comes in really sophisticated forms. And like I said, the moment you apply that descriptive title, there's no more mystery. You know exactly. You have a point of reference. You have positioning. You know exactly where you are in relation to it. You're clear about your relationship with it. You understand that expression of life. You know where it's coming from. You know your natural and organic order, and there's no more mystery. So once we change our approach, this is the key. If we change our approach, we're going to change the outcome. We are not going to change the outcome if we keep on with the same old approach, with the same old systems, same old religious belief systems, dogma, doctrine. We need to change our approach. We're going to change the outcome.
We need to change it. Definitely change the perspective.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. Your websites one more time, please.
weareinfinite.love.
weareinfinite.love. Excellent. George, you should make a couple of 1-minute spots for us to run on TFR to promote
we'd be
your work
happy
and stuff
to.
like that. So I'll send you
I'd
an
love
email
that.
about that, and just send them. We'll throw them in rotation for you. Thank you for all you've done over the years and for sharing your journey with us. And you've been a big inspiration to not only us personally, our audience as well. And thank you, brother. We really appreciate it. And we need to see you in May when you come to the U.S. I mean,
I would love that.
Yes. Where are you going to be?
We're going to go and visit Ali's family in Orange County, and we don't know if we're going to be able to trek anywhere further away from that. We didn't think we would this time, and we did. I actually did an event in Mount Shasta, which was just absolutely fantastic. Just loved it, in a place called Weed, of all places.
Weed.
Yeah, they have a lot of fun with their T-shirts over there in the souvenir shop. I can assure you of that.
We've been there. We actually got married in Mount Shasta
we did.
on December 21st, 2012.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place, and I learnt a lot from the land and memories of other lifetimes. And then also the real big experience that I had was at the Big Reds. That was the biggest one for me, the land of the giants, the big red trees. That freaked me out so much, far out. Anyone, if you haven't gone, go. It is the most amazing experience ever. And then I went all the way through to Albuquerque and spoke at Stargate to the Cosmos conference there for 4 days. So I travelled around a fair bit. So whereabouts are you guys situated?
We're in Washington
Middle of
State.
nowhere, Washington
However,
State.
we may be around the Orange County area at that time. We have
Yeah,
other
we will.
plans that I think are going to set us right around that area. And if we are there, then we'll definitely connect. I mean, at the very
here's
least for
something-
lunch.
Here's something for future reference. I was personally invited to be a speaker at Architects of the New Paradigm conference in Washington next year. So
nice.
it'll be up your neighborhood.
Okay.
Around this time, a bit earlier next year. So we'll be there, and I hope we get the opportunity definitely then to also catch up.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
Let's do it. All we have to do is just proclaim it out to the universe, and
Yep.
So I'm proclaiming it right now. All right, brother.
Universal decree.
I won't keep you any longer. Thank you again, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Love you both dearly. And I love
too.
all of you who've been listening and just taking into consideration what was shared. That's all.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We love you, man.
Love you, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll wrap it up on the other side. We'll take another quick break. And actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and end it because I want to chit-chat with George a little bit off air. So on that note, kiss the one you love right now. You never know when the last time is going to be. And we'll see you even further.
Beyond the veil.
Where?
Beyond the veil.
Oh, you have to say it with a little more passion.
Beyond the veil.
Beyond the veil.